Welcome to the Best of the Monty Show 2023, presented by our friends at SoundSleepMedical.com. Before we get into it, I want to remind you, there's a big difference between snoring and sleep apnea. Every night in this country, people go to bed with sleep apnea and they never wake up because it stops you from breathing. You know, if you have sleep apnea and you wake up and you're, or your spouse wakes you up because you're snoring loudly and gasping for air, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. You don't have to sleep away from your wife or your husband. All you have to do is get to soundsleepmedical.com/Monty and sign up for their free sleep evaluation. No embarrassment. It's completely discreet. What they're going to do is tell you, hey, are you just somebody who snores or do you have sleep apnea? In any case, they're going to fit you for a custom mouthpiece that's going to move your lower jaw forward, clearing your airway so you can get that sleep you need. I'm begging you, do it right now, don't delay. Sleep apnea kills Americans every single night. Don't be the next one. Get to soundsleepmedical.com.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
The Monty Show.
We're just the two hacks on YouTube.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Jake, we're just a couple of hacks on YouTube. We don't know anything that we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah.
And as you know, as it was pointed out to us, you know, what did they say? A dog or a squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Hey, you know
The
what?
clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, you know, that's us, man. We just, you know, but never mind on March 3rd that we told you that Gonzaga had a verbal invite from the Big 12 to join the conference. And then today, Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated reported that, lo and behold, that the Big 12 is ready to invite Gonzaga basketball into the conference. Never mind that we've told you for 3-4 months now that the Big 12 is planning on creating a unique and exclusive revenue stream, splitting off their basketball as a wholly different and self-contained entity that would become a revenue stream for the conference. Never mind that today CBS Sports is reporting that that is exactly what the Big 12's intent is. Folks, when you want the best and the brightest from the Big 12 and the Pac-12, you come to the Monty Show. But let's get specific about Gonzaga because I think it is incredibly important for the Big 12. And we've talked about it at length on this show. Gonzaga basketball, in my opinion, for the Big 12, and our sources have told us, is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion because Gonzaga allows the Big 12 to expand its footprint into the Pacific Northwest, but it also allows the Big 12 to strengthen its reach significantly in basketball and basketball recruiting. It's not only in the United States of America. I am told Gonzaga represents a significant international reach for college basketball, which I think they have a history of. They are well known. They are a global brand when it comes to basketball. This is a big, big move. And we could talk about all these different teams, Jake, in the Pac-12 and the Colorados and the Coach Primes. But my opinion and opinion of sources that we've spoken to, Gonzaga is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion.
Yeah, and I think there's a few reasons for that. I think, number one, they're in the Pacific time zone. So Brett Yormark has talked all about how, you know, he one of his major goals as commissioner of the Big 12 is to expand the conference into the Pacific time zone. And why is that? Why is that relevant? Why does that matter? I think it's kind of a gold rush right now, honestly. You're looking at the Big 10 adding, you know, 2 teams in Southern California in USC and UCLA. And if you're any of these other conferences, right, like the Big 12, the SEC, let's say, even the ACC, like as soon as a conference like the Big 10 expands into the Pacific time zone, you got to look at your options. And I think because the Big 12 is so dominant in basketball, adding a school like Gonzaga that is basketball only, if you will, they don't have a football team, I think makes a lot of sense. But I think one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is the fact that when they add Gonzaga, it's not just going to be the basketball team going into the conference. You have to remember they're adding all sports at Gonzaga. So whether it's the baseball team, the swimming team, whatever, every sport that Gonzaga runs out there will be in the Big 12. So people like to say, hey, well, you know, there's no way that this could be true because, you know, Gonzaga doesn't play football. But what I'm telling you is is other sports that they run out there are going to be included in this. And I think that's why it makes a lot of sense, because from a scheduling standpoint, Gonzaga continues to help you with flexibility. They continue to help you schedule all these different sports. So to me, that's why I think Gonzaga is really attractive, because again, they're an easy add. They bolster your basketball conference, and we've heard all these commissioners, right? Whether it's the commissioner of the Mountain West, whether it's Brett Yormark, even George Kliavkoff, has mentioned it in the past, making money off of playoff time in college athletics, whether it is the college football playoff or the tournament or, whatever scenario you want to look at. Making money in that time of year is crucial. And it's no secret that Gonzaga has been a tournament team basically every single year. Now, does that change going into a dominant basketball conference like the Big 12? I don't think so. I think they're plenty good enough in basketball to compete in the Big 12. But the point is that if you can add more dollars to your conference that way, why would you not do that? So to me, that's why I think Gonzaga is just such a natural fit. And again, we had this for you March 3rd. Like, this is not something new. This isn't like, don't be fooled. This isn't like some, new, like, on the edge reporting that, hey, they find Gonzaga attractive. We've had this story for a long time now. So for me, I just look at this and I say, hey, Gonzaga's an easy fit. Like, it just makes sense. But I look around and I look at Colorado. I look at, some of these other schools in the Pac-12, and I think this is kind of the thing that really is going to start to get crazy. When you look at Colorado and you look at what they did with the spring game and all the revenue that came in, like, Colorado's making money now and they haven't even, like, played a football game yet.
Right.
Like, that to me, if I'm Brett Yormark, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, holy cow, like, we have a cash flow of a school building and growing. Why would I not want to add that into my conference yet again? Like, that makes perfect sense.
And I also think there is something here to be said about the ever-changing face of college athletics. And I think when you look at the grant of rights model, we've heard repeatedly for months and months and months that grant of rights are probably going away into the future. There is a real difficult situation presenting itself in the ACC, and this assumption that the ACC is going to crumble. And well, I don't think it's going to crumble for a long time, because one, they're making good money, so no school in the ACC is going to be insolvent. But the greater issue is, why would the ACC fall apart? And how are you going to get enough teams to say, hey, we want out to blow up that grant of rights? I think that is a very difficult hill to climb. So if you are the Big 12 and you've just entered into this new TV deal, I think this past round with the Big 10 and the Big 12, I think these are the last great TV deals that you're going to see. And again, I understand the money that is being made in the Big 12. I don't see a way that you're not going to get to $40-50 million, as we've been telling you for months, that the Big 12 per school is looking at somewhere between $45 and $55 million per school per season when all of the nets are totaled. Because you're looking at a dominant basketball program. You're looking at championship caliber football, now with an expanded playoff. You know that schools in the Big 12 are going to have a much more available seat at the table. The money is flowing through the Big 12, but it's not flowing because of their TV deal. It's a part of it. But as we've talked about, Brett Yormark's grand plan is, hey, we can no longer rely on our media deal, so we are going to rely on ourselves. We are going to create a basketball conference that we can make a wholly owned entity and revenue stream out of. We are going to go to Rucker Park. We are going to take our product and we are going to reach into Mexico. Gonzaga is going to be a part of reaching into Europe. You're going to see that he is going to continue to grow these footprints. And I think he's absolutely the business model. And I understand that we're the truck stop show, and I get it that we're homers and
right.
But say what you want to say. Find me somebody who is operating their college sports business at a higher level right now than Brett Yormark in the Big 12. Because if he truly pulls off this coup with Gonzaga, because it is a coup, there's not a conference in the country that today would not add Gonzaga to their portfolio.
I like Gonzaga.
There's not one, and you can name the ACC, the SEC, you name the conference, they would add them. The Pac-12, I think would stack dead bodies on top of each other to reach the heights of Gonzaga basketball in a conference, by the way, who's going to lose one of its crown jewel basketball teams. USC, for however you slice it, could arguably be the best team in Pac-12 basketball this coming season, and they're going to the Big Ten. I just don't know how else you say it other than to say Gonzaga is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion. It's a must-have, and as we told you first on March 3rd, Gonzaga basketball has a verbal invite, and we are told as recently as this afternoon that they are simply working out the logistics with Gonzaga basketball. I think the much grander question is what happens with Colorado, and how do you, if you are the Big 12, how do you get this group of schools? And I know everybody loves to throw out, well, it's the four corner schools. I'm telling you, four corner schools don't exist. When you look at the Big 12 and expansion, they're not like, well, we've got to have the four corner schools. Look at dude, they're looking for 6 teams. We've told you this all along. The Big 12's not looking for 4 teams. The Big 12 is looking for 6 teams that deliver them all 4 time zones, that allow them to have reach, because that's what the game in the Big 12 is. Everybody else in the Pac-12, they're playing checkers and they're looking for big paydays. What Brett Yormark understands, and why this whole theory of, it's the 4 corners. It's not the 4 corners. It is the 6 teams that give the Big 12 the largest reach, not the biggest payday, the largest reach, the most fans in the most geographic areas where more people are going to watch TV. And why is that? Because that's where the dollar figure comes from. So you can go and chase your money in the Pac-12. What the Big 12 is looking for is reach. They want more homes. They want more geography. That's why the 4th time zone, everybody seems to forget this part, right? Like Brett Yormark has openly talked about the fact that he wants 4 time zones. He's got it with West Virginia. He's certainly got the Central time zone. He's certainly got the Mountain time zone. But what's the one time zone he doesn't have? He doesn't have the Pacific time zone. Does Arizona State, and let's say Colorado and Utah, the 4 corner schools, does that deliver him the Pacific time zone? No, it does not. Now, some of the year Arizona does, but most of the year they do not. So you've got to find somebody in the Pacific time zone. And I keep telling you, again, heard it over the weekend, keep an eye on Oregon State. They're everything that the Big 12 is looking for. Power football, competitive basketball. They bring you the 4th time zone. They have exquisite football facilities. They are investing in humans. They are investing in infrastructure. Oregon State is a great match. You know who's not a great match? San Diego State, SMU, Fresno State, because there's no payday in those schools. And I love the fact that everybody's been talking about, oh man, paydays and pro ratas. Do people have no idea what a pro rata is? Like, there was a report that came out that lit Twitter on fire today about how Fox is not willing to pay. Do you understand that the Big 12's TV deal guarantees a payday for anybody that's a P5 member? A P5 school. San Diego State is a G5 school. So when you look at Gonzaga, for instance, G5 school, we told you back in March, Fox Sports has agreed to pay to bring Gonzaga into the Big 12. Now, why is that? Because it brings exponentially more viewers to a basketball game when Gonzaga is involved.
Gonzaga.
Period, point blank. It makes sense. Ask yourself this. Why would ESPN spend a penny more to bring in San Diego State? Because they've already got the geography that you need, right? They already have that Pacific time zone if they bring in Oregon State. So ask yourself, we're a football entity. ESPN has valued college football far more than basketball. College basketball valued by Fox Sports. We know that, right? College football valued by ESPN. You already know that Brett Yormark has a very strong relationship across all of his media rights partners. ESPN's paying for football. That's what ESPN's paying for. So when you look at Oregon State, P5, they're going to pay for them. When they look at Utah, Colorado, the Arizonas, they're going to pay for them because they're all P5 members. The one question is Gonzaga. And as we told you all the way back in March, Fox Sports has agreed to pay a certain sum. I am not ready because sources have not confirmed to me that it's a full share, but they are ready to pay more money to bring Gonzaga in, who's a WCC member who no matter where they go, they're going to get a significant raise. But I am told that Fox Sports has agreed to pay significantly more money to bring in Gonzaga than they are already paying. I think it makes perfect sense. But this idea that people, want to talk about how ESPN's not willing to pay, the pro rata is not negotiable. It's not something where they're like, yeah, but it's Oregon State. That's not how it works. The pro rata specifically says, according to our sources in the TV industry, if you bring in a P5 member as a new member to your league, we will pay a full share to bring them in. They will pay their full share. Now, but I would also remind you that ESPN isn't paying $31.7 million a year to Big 12 schools. So when you understand and you've actually read the TV deal the way we have, we understand the structure of that TV deal is not, hey, ESPN pays everybody $31.7 million. They have their part of that $31.7 million, which I believe is $26 million. So I believe they're willing to pay $26 million to bring in Oregon State. They're willing to pay, that's their share of the TV money. So I would caution you against people who don't know what a pro rata is. I would caution you against people who don't know that the Big 12 has been working and molding and building a business model where one revenue stream is basketball and another revenue stream is football, and they are two different business operations. They are business departments.
And I think what's really fascinating is, where have we heard this before too? This whole concept of different segments under one roof, basically. Well, we've heard this concept at ESPN, right? So that TV partners are doing this, where it's like, okay, hey, Disney is the umbrella parent company, right? Owns all these different segments. ESPN is just one, what's called a vertical, right? You have one vertical here. And so when you look at the Big 12, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, okay, hey, football is one vertical. We've got corporate sponsors all up and down football.
That's right.
But then basketball is going to be another one, which is why we're going to Rucker Park and we're trying to do, Mexico and all these different things. But again, if you really take the time to think about Gonzaga, it makes perfect sense, right? I would be a little surprised if they got just a full-on equal share. I would be a little surprised by that, but I wouldn't be at all surprised that a TV partner would say to Brett Yormark in the Big 12, yeah, definitely, we would be willing to pay more for Gonzaga because they're relevant. If you put them on TV, we know here at Fox, here at ESPN, whatever the TV partner is, we know that people are going to tune in for that, so we can justify paying more money for this particular team. San Diego State doesn't do that. SMU doesn't do that, right? Tulane doesn't do that. Any of these random schools in expansion, Fresno State doesn't do that. Gonzaga does that, though, so the TV partner is going to pay for that. But I think people get tripped up on the pro rata because they want to say, oh, man, well, dude, Gonzaga's not a P5, so how could they possibly get more money? Everything's negotiable to a certain point. So if TV partners willing to come to the middle a little bit, you can get things done. But guess what? A commissioner that knows how to operate is going to increase your odds of your TV partner coming to the middle as well. So if a TV partner trusts that Brett Yormark is giving them a good deal and is working with them in good faith and knows how to make money and can run the conference, up and to the right instead of down and to the left like someone in the Pac-12,
right,
they're going to be more willing to come to the table and have those conversations. And that's part of the reason why I think the Pac-12 is really struggling here, because nobody trusts a commissioner that's not allowed to do media availability. Nobody's going to trust a guy that really isn't good at doing business like that. That's just simple logic. You wouldn't do that. So That's why I say the Gonzaga angle is not complicated. It just really is not that complicated. And you look around, you look at, again, this whole four corner schools concept or any of the other examples, just apply logic to it, and it pretty much pans out that the Big 12 is going to add schools. Like, it's just not rocket science.
Yeah.
The Monty Show.
You've got a lot of reasons to be attracted to Utah if you're the Big 12. And the other thing that I feel like, kind of gets skipped over in expansion talks is, programs like UCF or Cincinnati or, hell, even BYU. There's going to be an adjustment period for those programs where they're not going to be good teams for a minute, and they're going to have to recruit and kind of build up their rosters, and you're just going to go through that process. But honest to God, I feel like, a Utah, certainly an Arizona State, I'm even happy to throw Arizona in there, certainly in basketball. Those are programs that are going to compete in the top half of the table in the Big 12 right now. They're very attractive to you. They can make money for you now. So to me, when I say, hey, Taylor Randall, why are we waiting till the last second? What is the hesitancy, or maybe a better way to say it is, what is the buy-in to the Pac-12's path right now and the Pac-12's opportunity? Because ultimately, that's like, if you're running an institution, is that not what you're looking at, like, just all the time, like literally every day in every conversation? Hey, what opportunity do we have to get better today? Or what opportunity do we have to make the institution healthier, to make it more profitable, to make it a better place for people to come and get an education or to get a football scholarship or whatever? That's what you're doing all day long. So if I'm Taylor Randall, and again, I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's done a phenomenal job, but I do wonder, why not be out in front of this thing? Why not be setting the pace? Why not be controlling the news cycle and saying things like, yeah, like, we believe, like, similar to what Rick George said, right? Up in Colorado. Hey, like, dude, like, we love the Pac-12, but we're in a situation where we got to look at all our options because, frankly, we're negotiating a TV deal and we don't have a deal done yet. So now we have to look at all our options, and I got to make sure the university's in the best spot it can be. Who's going to blame him for saying that? Because I'm not going to blame him. Now you're damn right. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to, like, that would be huge news. But you can kind of see the power that Utah would have if they would just embrace that, and that's what I wish we saw more of.
Yeah, I think this situation with the Pac-12 and Apple. I mean, we heard that they had talks last week, and the conversations had been ongoing sporadically, but that, the Pac-12 was, by some accounts, looking for more money than Apple TV was willing to pay. So we'll see how all that plays out. And I just think as we get back into this Pac-12 situation, I just don't see how you have a positive outcome here. Mm-hmm. I would love to tell you that all 10 of these teams are staying together. I don't see how that happens now. I truly do not. And I think we told you yesterday on this show that, our firm belief is that you're going to get Gonzaga in the Big 12. We've been telling you that since March. It makes perfect sense. I still maintain that if you look at Oregon State, I think Oregon State delivers you another option in the Pacific time zone. But I think you're going to get 4 teams to jump to the Big 12 very, very soon. I think before I'd be shocked if it doesn't happen in the next 10 days. I just think that Arizona State, and by the way, I've talked to people at Arizona State. The meeting, this Board of Regents meeting tomorrow is not having to do with the Big 12. It is a procedural executive session. All of their agendas are online. Yes, it is true in executive session. They have the ability to talk about anything they want. But if there was a proposed move on the table to move Arizona and Arizona State to the Big 12, that would have to be on a public agenda. Yeah. And it is not. They can update those agendas up to 24 hours before their meeting. They did not update them today. The Board of Regents meeting, we are told, for Arizona is not related to realignment. So I know that everybody wants to kind of point fingers at these meetings. Yeah. That's not what it's about. I would also remind you there's a lot of these schools that have their fiscal year that's coming to an end on June 1st. Yeah. So you're getting a lot of Board of Regent meetings related to the end of the fiscal year and allocating funds and approving summer costs. And I mean, you have a lot of business that's done that has nothing to do with realignment. John Teal, first one in today. Big 12 needs to jump on San Diego State and get into the SoCal market. I get it. UCLA and USC is a 9-11, 356. Is that a Porsche reference? But a 914 is still a Porsche, and that's San Diego State. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that.
Answer it.
Yeah, this is actually. Go ahead, Jake. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So it's funny. We've been getting a bunch of calls lately about these, these meetings and these different things. And I think what's really interesting is that there's a lot of like hide and seek that happens where you'll get calls from here, you get calls from there, and I really think there's a lot of tenderness around this situation. I know that's kind of an interesting word to use, but you look at this situation and people are really, really hesitant to confirm or deny or give details or whatever, right? And so for me, I just think of it and I say, yeah, I do think these meetings out east, I do think they happen. That's my opinion. We're not being told that, obviously. We've already told you the Big 12 no commented us, but when my guy's phone over here rings and it's from a certain area, we need to answer those calls. And so for me, I look at the Pac-12 and I look at these schools, and I feel like they've been forced into a situation where they have to have these conversations. They have to. They don't have a choice, because if you are in a situation where you're Colorado, you're Oregon, you're Washington, you're any of these schools that might be looking to move, you got to have conversations before you can do that. And unfortunately, people want to know about those things. And so we wind up having this cat and mouse game, and I think it's really interesting that people aren't embracing. Because if I was a Colorado, if I was like I said, in Arizona State, one of these big boy names in the Pac-12, I would be careful with what I said, but I would definitely be playing the game very aggressively, because I think every day that goes by, today's May 31st, every single day that goes by from today forward, there is more pressure building on the Pac pipe busting, if you will, on the Pac falling apart. And so if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel here, in a sense, you don't have a choice but to have secret meetings and have conversations and do these different things. You have to do it.
Well, I can tell you that was Bob Berta from the Big 12 who just called me back. Mm-hmm. And Bob categorically denies that there are any other members at the Greenbrier Hotel. Mm-hmm. Bob, I trust Bob. I have dealt with Bob in the past. He has been very straightforward with me. I would have no reason to think that Bob was being dishonest. Bob told me at the Greenbrier Hotel that straight away the existing members of the Big 12 are there, and the 4 incoming members of the Big 12 are there, and it is strictly a procedural, normal spring business meeting for the Big 12, and that he used the words categorically deny that any of the Pac-12 schools or Gonzaga are on the property at the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia.
Gonzaga.
So Bob Berta from the Big 12, I don't know why he would be dishonest. Why would he come on the record and say, because I said to him, hey, on the record. He said, absolutely, on the record. It is the current members of the Big 12 and the 4 incoming members. That is it. Those other schools are not here.
Oh, that's interesting. I think.
I don't know. And I don't know why he would do that if they were there.
Yeah, I mean, I think on one hand, I think in just being fair in the conversation, right? Not accusing Bob of being dishonest at all. But I think in fairness to the conversation, I think there is a lot of incentive to say, hey, it's just the existing members. That's my opinion.
But why would he go out of his way to be dishonest? Bob's better than that. Bob is a seasoned professional.
Yeah, I agree.
Bob is the vice president of communications at the Big 12. Did not have to call me back. Did not have to go out of his way to do that. I am telling you that he is saying.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Straight away, it is the current members and the 4 incoming members of the Big 12. That's it. Does that mean, and I see everybody commenting, well, maybe they were on Zoom, maybe they were on,
No.
Come on. Like, if that were the case, I don't believe a man of Bob Berta's esteem would be telling me categorically they're not here. They're not, like, I just don't think that they would be doing that. Again, and please finish your thought. What incentive does he have to do that?
I think they have a responsibility to be careful. That's what I think. I think you have a responsibility in the situation to be careful. And that doesn't just apply to the Big 12. I think that applies to member institutions in the Pac-12. I think that applies to, it's like the whole concept of George not doing media, right? Because George isn't good at doing media. So what have they done? They've taken him out of the situation. I think, and I agree, I'm not saying Bob is lying. I'm not saying he's being dishonest. Bob's a great guy. I second everything he just said about Bob, 100%.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's no getting away from the idea. Maybe it didn't happen at this hotel. Okay, great. They weren't there at this hotel. Cool. Great. I don't believe for a second, and I don't care what anybody says, there's no way you're getting around the fact that guys like Rick George have talked to Brett Yormark and they've been in person and had conversations.
Right.
I'm not running from that idea.
Well, I don't think anybody is.
Yeah, I don't think that we should run from the idea that these schools have been put in a position because George Kliavkoff and that office in the Pac-12 are incompetent. You've put your people in a position where they have to go out and they got to have conversations. Phil Knight's talking to Tony Petitti, right? Like, is that surprising? I don't think that's breaking news. I think that's what they have to do. They don't have a choice. You can't just allow your university and all the relationships you have under the umbrella of the Oregon Ducks, let's say, to just be out at sea floating with no direction, no purpose. Like, you can't do that.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But I also think it's really important to the integrity of this kind of information.
Yeah.
You have to call the Big 12. You have to talk to and I think that's why it's why we tell you that we're doing that.
Yeah.
Because I want you to understand, we're not just sitting around like, hey, Jimmy at, the Dollar General said that they're, Arizona, Ray Anderson came into the Dollar General.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. Like, I just think that you have to at some point say, okay, let's slow the roll a little bit. Now, having said all of that, I still stand pat in our sourcing that Gonzaga has a verbal offer to join the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think that
stand. I 100% stand behind that reporting.
Yeah,
I 100% stand by the fact that every single member that I am aware of, and one source or another, we have been told Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, they have all. Oregon State certainly. The one that I am unsure of is Kirk Schultz and Washington State. But I believe that every other member of the Pac-12 has spoken to Colorado.
Yeah.
Or has spoken to the Big 12. Excuse me. And I believe that Colorado has had the most recent and most serious conversations with the Big 12.
Yeah. I
believe the people I speak to, because they have not been wrong and they have not led us astray to this point.
Yeah.
Stephen Smith gives us $20 to say, do you think San Diego State will be able to move before July 1st if the payout doubles to leave the Mountain West, or will they still be in the Mountain West if Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State decide to go to the Big 12? I emailed with a source at the Mountain West this week who said that they still have not heard from San Diego State on exit strategy. So I just think that San Diego State's in a terrible position because it's J.D. Wicker, the athletic director at San Diego State. This Seth Davis piece, where he gave a quote to Seth Davis at The Athletic where he said, we're going somewhere. I think that was a tactically speaking, that's a misstep.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have done it. And then I feel like they were very disrespectful to us in our communications with them. I think we have been very diligent in communicating with conference level folks, school level folks. I mean, we have emailed or text messaged or had phone conversations with just about a source at every school. And San Diego State is the most defensive and angry that folks that I've dealt with. And I think it's because they realize that they probably put the I don't even want to say the cart before the horse. I think they put the moving van before the Aztec.
Yeah, they put,
right?
the moving van before the signed sale of their house.
Yeah, I think it was a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake. And I see everybody asking again. I want to make it very clear because I think the Big 12 went out of their way to communicate with us today, and I appreciate that. 3 members of the Big 12 conference called us today.
Yeah.
The folks at the Greenbrier Hotel have been nothing short of spectacular to deal with. Bob Berta moments ago called me and categorically denied that any non-Big 12 schools are at the Greenbrier Hotel. And he straight up said, nope, it's just the current existing members of the Big 12 and the 4 incoming members. So yeah. I don't know why he would go out of his way to tell me that if it were not the case.
No, he probably wouldn't. And again, I think it's, yeah, I think, there's no question that conferences have meetings like this on a pretty regular basis.
And Bob told me these are the Big 12 spring business meetings, which I know that they are. We knew that those were going to be there. Weeks ago, they've been in planning for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. Tom Dean gives us $2. Colorado, Arizona State, and who's the 16th member? Gonzaga.
Yeah.
In that belief system, in this belief system.
Yeah.
That's who the 16th would be. But I don't. I mean, where do you guys come down on this Big 12 thing? I mean, do you believe that? I don't know. Laura Weiss, I don't think there is any way they would say on the record that they were there. I don't think but generally, Laura, and I think you're exactly right. I don't think they would admit it, but you know what they would do? 3 people wouldn't call me back.
Yeah.
Bob Berta, I believe his correct title is Vice President of Communications. It is Vice President of Communications. I don't believe that Bob Berta would call me back and use the word categorically deny.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, their behavior says that they're being honest. Their behavior, I mean, this is very different. Like, let's be really clear. When you're in this game and you talk to people and you have conversations on a regular basis like we do, it's very clear when you're getting no commented, like when it's just, hey, no comment, and then the conversation ends, you know what that is. You know that's, hey, we don't want to talk about it. No comment, hang up the phone. But the fact that a guy like Bob Berta is calling us after 2 other people called us, their behavior says they're being honest, and you have to give them that credit. Yes, Laura, I agree. They would probably never come out and say, oh, yeah, Colorado and ASU are here. Sure. But if Colorado and ASU and Arizona and all these different schools were there having some meeting of the minds, let's say, Bob Berta wouldn't be calling us. Let me put it that way. Like, conference officials at the Big 12 would not be calling us and working with us and having conversations. I promise you that would not happen in that order, if you will. So their behavior says they're being honest, and that's fine. I don't think we need to push some narrative that they're lying or that they're playing games. I think the Big 12 has been clinical in the way they've gone about their business. It's never really been a scheming type thing with the Big 12. It's been very straightforward. All the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Like, it's very straightforward. So to me, I believe the guy. I do. That said, my opinion is that I do believe that conversations are happening. May not be at that hotel, may not be on May 31st, but I could tell you I would not be surprised if if school officials from the Pac-12 are having conversations on an ongoing basis that allow them to get to a place where they understand, okay, this is what we'll get paid, this is what it would take. Like, they just need to know logistics so that when the Pac-12 TV deal's number comes out, they can make an educated and informed decision. That's all it is. It's a very straightforward proposition.
Yeah, I just don't... Listen, guys, I think very clearly that when you have a situation like this, it's always going to be fluid. So I think the news today, if you're just tuning into the show, is that Bucked Up is still giving you free buckshot samples in the description below. And I'm telling you guys, I was telling a friend of mine today that, hey, buckshot is exactly the way to go. I think it is. Right? We were talking about supplements, and we were talking about the fact I've lost a bunch of weight lately and I feel better, and I still play terrible golf this morning.
I was going to say, today when we lost like 50 balls out on the course, we took some buckshot, and that kind of helped straighten our swing out.
You get your mind right, and that's exactly what the buckshot does. So cheers to you. Down the hatch, friends. Let's get mentally tough. Buckshot, get 6 free buckshots in the description of this show below. 100 milligrams of caffeine. It's clean, long-lasting energy that'll help you get through your day. I'm telling you, the best use for me is I went golfing this morning. Before I rolled out of the house, I took my buckshot, drank it, woke up, felt great, got out to the course, played terrible golf for 4 hours, came home, still had plenty of energy. Had my lunch, still had plenty of energy. Pop a buckshot right now, be good to go. I've never felt better. I've never slept better, and it's because of things like buckshot. I'm telling you now, the buck bars that we tell you all about every day on this show, you guys, get the Buck Bar sampler pack. Again, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he said, I hate bars. I hate bar. This bar is different because it actually tastes good. Forget what it does for you. Forget the fact that they use whey protein isolate or that they're sweetening the bar with something like dates, a natural sugar, right? That's not confection sugar that's poured in all these other bars you see on the market. No, forget about that. Buck bars are clean energy, right? Because who really has all the time in the world to meal prep, and who has all the time in the world or the know-how to use high-quality ingredients? Well, Bucked Up does. And that's why the Buck Bar is the best bar I have ever had, hands down. Not because they advertise on the show, but I'm telling you, because I'm a guy that hates bars, but I need them. I'm a big dude. I'm 300 pounds. I need my protein. Buck Bars get the job done for me. They keep me full. I eat less. I feel better. That's why I want you to get a free sampler pack in the description below. Get your bars. Get your buckshot. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Less of us, more of you. Let's get your comments. Jay Chapman said, Greg Pfluger said it was going to light up today. He was spot on. Well, I don't know what was lighting up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is there something that we don't know about that's lighting up? Because I don't necessarily believe that anything is happening today, but we'll see. I think there's a chance in the next week to 10 days that significant action will happen in Big 12 expansion. Nick M says nothing says a conference calls aren't being conducted with the Big 12 with non-Big 12 schools while all the Big 12 folks are together there in West Virginia. Absolutely could be. But all we're saying is what Bob Berta at the Big 12 told us. Categorically denies any non-Big 12 schools are in West Virginia.
Yeah.
That it is the current members of the Big 12 and the 4 incoming members that are at the Greenbrier Hotel. And, somehow they thought I was there. I'm not there. I would love to be there. They have a great golf course from what I understand. Nope, just called the hotel today. So we appreciate that. But, hey, you know what? We'll see. Raider Mark. How are you, Raider Mark? Big 12 has been smart about their moves. Won't invite non-members to a meeting. I don't. And this is what we talked about while we were prepping the show today. I don't see any way that they're going to have Ray Anderson or President Randall or President Crow or any of these other, Pac-12 school representatives just walk into the front door of the Greenbrier Hotel today.
Hey, guys.
They would certainly use the underground tunnels.
Right.
Right? Like, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're absolutely not doing that. It's crazy to me. Mick A says, I like the addition of Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona, and Gonzaga. Keep watching Oregon State, though. They balance out the football schedule with those other schools. Well, and they give you another school in the Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
Because remember, as we were told yesterday by Ron or whoever, Arizona's in the Pacific time zone. They're not. They're always mountain time. They're always mountain time. Let's see. Who else? Ron Loney, there he is. San Diego State is going to be fine. But where does San Diego State end up? Because I think in the grand scheme of things, San Diego State's a very interesting player in all of this because I do find value in San Diego State. I think they have beautiful facilities. I think they are really smart sports people, really smart academics, really smart business people. I just don't know where their home is. Because naturally, I think their best fit, if we're being totally honest, their best fit is in the Pac-12. There's no question about that. But what Pac-12 are they going to be joining? And how much are they going to make? Because if we're being very honest, there's not a whole lot wrong with the Mountain West.
Yeah.
I think people like to slander the Mountain West for what other reason. Are you telling me the Mountain West is some terrible conference? You have an elite commissioner. You have a great staff. You have really good schools and memberships that make up your conference.
Facts.
And San Diego State is one of those. If the Pac-12 collapses, let's say somehow, and Oregon State and Washington State end up in the Mountain West, are you telling me that's not a strong conference? That's a pretty strong conference. You're going to lose a lot of games in that conference, right? So I just don't understand why San Diego State, and it's a cash grab. I totally get it. It's a step up. You want a seat at the table. I understand it. But the Mountain West is not the worst place to be for current membership. It truly is not. And the question I have is, and if you're a San Diego State supporter, I would love your thoughts on this. Are you not better than lapping at the feet of a dying conference? Because isn't that what this feels like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what it feels like. And that's why I think, again, I'm not trying to make it personal with J.D. Wicker, but I just think that was a huge misstep because, you didn't need to say that, number one. Number two, I feel like it makes you look really desperate. It almost makes it seem like like there's an impending doom on you in the Mountain West and you've got to get out. Like, you've got to go. Like, you don't have another out. Like, dude, like, you're good. You're chilling in the Mountain West. You're super competitive. You're one of the most valuable brands of the conference. Like, I understand, totally get it. You want to make more money, and I love that. Love that. Love the idea of San Diego State getting to the Power 5 level. Totally about it. At the same time, things don't just happen overnight. Rome wasn't built overnight, as they say, right? So you have to do it with the correct process, and the correct process is not coming out and saying one way or another we're leaving. The correct process is to have no comment and have back channel conversations.
That's right.
The way Utah did through Tom Homo with the Big 12, the way Rick George has probably had, the way there's just a way to do these things, and so I agree with your take though. San Diego State is a gem of an opportunity, and they're diluting that opportunity by speaking. Notice you haven't heard from J.D. Wicker too much lately, right? He made that comment, what was that, 6 weeks ago now or so? Like maybe a month, 6 weeks ago-ish?
Month ago-ish, yeah.
Like, haven't heard from J.D. Wicker since. Haven't really heard anything out of San Diego State since. Now, they got busy losing in the, the Super Regional in softball. You got busy losing a national championship. Like, you got busy doing things. So I get it.
We're going to put the phone down, man. You're going to have to call me back.
People out here ringing your phone.
Them East Coast numbers, man. And it's somebody who knows that I'm on the show right now. It's somebody who, Anyway. Ron Loney, the Big 12 commissioner, needs a statue built in his honor. Yeah, the Brett Yormark Memorial Trophy.
Put some respect on his name, Brett Yormark.
Infamous Montoya. Monty, the meeting in West Virginia is about where the Big 12 wants to build the new truck stops in Colorado, Arizona, and Utah.
Excuse me, sir. It's Flying J's, please.
Yeah, can we get the flyover conference?
Where's the new airstrip?
We're gonna need some truck stops on those local airports.
Hey, where is Brett Yormark Memorial Truck Stop going to be located,
Again,
bro?
I still maintain the insult of, you guys are a truck stop conference, man. Okay, tell me a conference that doesn't have a truck stop in it. Go ahead. And the other one is, well, you're a flyover conference. Okay, name me a conference where airplanes don't fly over. Go. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, man, I got the best insult ever. You guys are the truck stop conference. Honk, honk.
Get the hell out of here with that.
What?
Yeah, that's one of the softest
I love it,
ever.
dude.
The Monty Show.
It feels like there's a different tenor and a different intensity to talks around the Big 12 and the Pac-12, the Pac-12 TV deal. A lot of people ask me, hey, what's going on? as we reported for, I think, 2 weeks now, they know the numbers. They know the best deal that's available for them in the Pac-12. I think it's simply a matter of time of coming to terms with what those numbers are. And we are again told that they are at $19 million. And it's a good chunk of streaming, which I think upsets a lot of people. Thus, I think all last week and all weekend long, we got a lot of information about where teams are looking to. And in particular, I think one of the most fascinating situations in the Pac is this financial situation in the Big 12, where last week at the spring business meetings in West Virginia, the Big 12 announced that they were distributing $44 million per member in the Big 12. $44 million in a league where you're just getting started. You have 2 years before your new TV deal kicks in. You're adding 4 premier members to the conference. And we know now that Brett Yormark, since his hire last fall, has been aggressively looking at expansion. And now we get all these rumors over the weekend about exactly what the Big 12 is doing. Again, something we've been telling you for several weeks now, that the Big 12 is simply waiting for closure on the Pac-12 TV deal because they don't want to be seen as somebody that is out of line or stepping on toes, breaching decorum. They're going to wait. And I think mainly the Big 12 is going to wait because I don't think there's a Pac-12 member, from what our sources have told us, that is eagerly waiting to pull the ripcord on the Pac-12. They are simply going to play out the timeline, which could be a matter of days and weeks here now before they jump, which brings us to Arizona and Arizona State. And the biggest question, are Arizona and Arizona State tied together? We had a conversation with a very well-placed source this afternoon before the show started, and we are told, in fact, they are not tied together, that Arizona is free to move, but at what cost? And it is interesting and eerily similar to what we've heard about Utah and several other schools in this conference, that it has nothing to do with athletics and everything to do with the state of the education system in Arizona. There are real fears on the Arizona Board of Regents that the educational environment will suffer if these two schools, Arizona and Arizona State, act independently of each other. Note, I did not say if they are in 2 different conferences. What I said was, a source close to the Board of Regents this afternoon told us the biggest fear about allowing Arizona to leave for the Big 12 is it creates a pathway for these 2 institutions that are governed by the Arizona Board of Regents to act independently and not in their best interest as a pair. And Jake, I think that's exactly where the Arizona Board of Regents should be thinking. So I don't think it's going to be easy for Arizona to make that move.
No, and I think that's how it really should be. I think when you look at expansion and realignment, a lot of the time it comes down to geography and how much onus is put on the educational side of the conversation. Because again, if I look at, just as a good example, USC and UCLA, those 2 weren't exactly connected the same way that Arizona and ASU are. Arizona and ASU literally play out of the same money. They deal in the same pot of money, if you will, in Arizona. And so if you think about it, if one school is in the Big 12 and one school stays in the Pac-12, that's really going to hurt and really negatively impact, let's say, Arizona State in this case. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense financially for them to separate. Now, that's not to say that they won't separate. That's not to say that it's impossible for them to separate, because it's entirely possible for them to separate and go different directions. But
and frankly, I don't even think the Arizona Board of Regents would stand in their way.
Yeah.
I think what the Arizona Board of Regents has said to Arizona is, if this is a move you believe you want to make, that's fine. But there are going to be conditions. And we are not clear on what those conditions are, frankly. We have talked to a number of people about this. I don't believe that financial penalties are what we're talking about. Could it be? Sure. I think it's going to be expensive in one way or another, whether that is money, whether that is educational revenue streams being, split differently. I think it is going to be costly for Arizona to act without Arizona State. Mm-hmm. But I also think, Jake, one of the other things that is so fascinating here as we look at this situation with Arizona and Arizona State, I think Arizona is one of the schools that really wants to get to the Big 12. And I know that's not groundbreaking analysis, but if you look at it in the terms of the relationship between Arizona and Arizona State, I think Arizona State desperately wants to stay in the Pac-12. I think they're one of the schools that is comfortable. I think they understand that President Crow has a significant voice amongst his peers in the Pac-12, which gives them some level of, I don't know, is the word comfort?
Yeah.
I believe it does. But I also was told today by my source that I spoke to at the Arizona Board of Regents, hey, the athletic department budget at Arizona State's a problem. The fact that they have a lot of litigation, the fact that they have a lot of payments to people who are no longer employed at Arizona State, those are all problematic for the Arizona Board of Regents because there was significant debt restructuring amongst Arizona and Arizona State specifically that allowed monies to come free. And there is quite a bit of resentment amongst the academia in Arizona that Arizona State has wasted a good bit of their money. And that the money that they are putting out at Arizona State is significant. I mean, I don't think you can even argue that they invest very heavily in their athletics. And it's not that they don't win. And the source of ours went way out of their way to say, nobody cares if Arizona State puts their best foot forward and makes their absolute best effort to compete in sports and they don't win. That's fine. But you can't burn the house down every single year at Arizona State. You can't write checks and write checks and write checks because you made bad decisions and mismanaged the money that was so important to you to compete and to win, whether it was the fundraising for the stadium renovation in Arizona State and Tempe. Beautiful renovation, and I don't think anybody argues that. But where's the money that is a result of that new building? Where's the money that the debt restructuring yielded to both Arizona and Arizona State? And when I asked about, hey, you had a significant scandal at both universities, it was pointed out to me that very quickly Arizona got their house in order. And I actually agree with this. Arizona, after the Sean Miller basketball situation, immediately got their house back in order.
Facts.
They lopped off scalps and they said, we're moving on. And that's exactly what they did. It was explained to me that Arizona was very transparent, worked very closely with the NCAA to clean up this mess. Whereas with football, Herm Edwards was not immediately terminated. And there is, trust me when I say there is some resentment about the Herm Edwards era at Arizona State and Ray Anderson's handling of that situation and his seemingly, head in the sand while clear, obvious violations were being made from top to bottom in the football department and nothing was being done about that. And you wound up firing an entire staff and you owe people money based on that because you didn't manage. It wasn't mismanagement. It was no management of the football program under Herm Edwards. And the people we have spoken to about this have a lot of bitterness over that. A lot of bitterness. Because I would also remind you of all of the schools in the Pac-12 that have, a really, really solid group of leadership. Go read the resumes of the folks on the Arizona Board of Regents. Because it'll blow your mind what the accomplishments, the education, the jobs, the titles, the grouping of humanity.
For real.
I don't know how their brains fit on the same Zoom call because it's remarkable. And until Saturday, when I started really trying to dig into this to this board meeting, it's pretty remarkable the grouping of people that make up the Arizona Board of Regents. Yeah. It is impressive to say the least. And I think they're exactly right. I want to make this really clear. I don't think they should let Arizona and Arizona State split because what's best for Arizona State is to stay with the better, more well-managed, more well-run University of Arizona, who clearly has done a better job with their academics and clearly done a better job, and maybe that's strong. They've both done a good job academically. But it is not close that Arizona runs their athletic department with far more rigidity, far more management, far more oversight, far more accountability, top to bottom, in every sport than anything you get from Arizona State and Ray Anderson.
Yes.
I don't know what
that was my computer glitching.
you know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think that's the real issue here.
Yeah.
I think Arizona would very much be a candidate to leave the Pac-12.
Yeah, and I think with Colorado, they're right there. I mean, they're clearly the two schools that are most enthusiastic about it, have been the most outspoken about it. I also think they're the two schools that really would make the most out of the opportunity because they're the two schools that see the positive in it. And I'm a big believer that you know, whether you're playing golf or changing conferences, the more positive you are about it, the better result you're going to get. You know, and I think
why are you taking shots at my golf game?
I'm not taking shots at your golf game.
Why?
I'm just saying, dude. Golf, you know, the Jazz losing, the Fizdales of the world, you know, Colorado moving conferences. Like, you know, when you look at these situations and opportunities, like, again, it's the people who are like, yeah, all right, cool, we got opportunity here. What are we going to do with it? And I think, you know, yeah, Arizona does deserve credit for cleaning up Sweaty Sean's mess. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's not like you've been championship good and damn near anything in a minute.
Yeah, but I again, and I know this is going to sound contrarian to a bunch of people that are sports fans, I don't think the result of the game matters. I truly don't. And I mean, the Arizona Board of Regents and the people we've talked to, I don't think they care if you win or lose. I think they far more care how you oversee your programs. I think they far more care how you manage your personnel and how much you put into doing it the right way. Mm-hmm. I think that was abundantly clear to me after this conversation. I just don't see in any way, shape, or form how they can allow Arizona to split its business dealings from Arizona State. I think it would be, and I know we've been loud critics of Ray Anderson on this show. I know he
deserves it.
He absolutely does. You're right.
He deserves it.
I think the interview he did with that Arizona State podcast, I thought was embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Herm Edwards situation at Arizona State, god damn.
Yeah, I mean,
it does not get worse than that.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. But again, what am I going to say? Sean Miller, Herm Edwards, cool, right? Every school has issues. Every school goes through it at some point or another, right? Kirby at Georgia, going through it, right? Like, every school has its issues. And I think that the thing is if I'm Arizona, I am trying to split off from ASU. I am tired of carrying the dead weight. But at the same time, I got to look at the state and I got to look at my overall health and I got to say, okay, is it worth it in the big picture? And yeah, we were told that, hey, winning doesn't necessarily matter. At the same time, my opinion is that winning always matters because, again,
winning helps.
Well,
I think winning, you don't want to lose every game you play. Okay, I totally get that. But if you finish second or third, what did Ray Anderson say in that podcast? He said something like, we're a top 15 program and that's our best bar.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't be, Ray, my guy, just some advice. Uncle Monty to Ray Anderson. I wouldn't say that out loud ever again. Conference of Champions, bro.
What, that you're happy being mediocre every year because it makes you more money?
I think that all that did was inject frustration and resentment. But I also think if he had never said that and you just finished mid-table, people would be fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
If Herm Edwards hadn't burned the football program to the ground.
You know.
If Sean Miller hadn't burned the basketball program, one of the best basketball programs in the country, to the ground. By doing what? Not overseeing his coaching staffs. What's the difference? Arizona cut quickly and decisively. What did they do at Arizona State? Well, we're going to suspend this guy. You might want to sit for a minute. Yeah, you shouldn't leave campus. Hey, Herm, what are we doing here? Oh, I'm going to take care of it. Okay, cool, great. All right, I'm going to go play golf. See you later. That's what they did at Arizona State. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, well, Herm, your guys are out here running roughshod, so you're going to pay with your job. Which, when it was going on, and go back and check because it's on YouTube, we told you they should have fired Herm Edwards long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They should have never hired one of the best friends of the athletic director who had been out of coaching for a decade to be your head coach. And maybe none of this happens.
Facts.
Maybe none of this happens.
I mean, I know that it's a novel concept and it's rocket science, but, you know.
All I'm saying is I think the Arizona Board of Regents don't care about winning and losing. I think they care about how you win and lose and how you manage people and how you manage your money. And when as it was described to me today, significant debt restructuring efforts were made and talked about and really calculated and really went through, and both Arizona and Arizona State got significant benefit from restructuring of debt.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, there's resentment about how the yield of that restructuring was handled at Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
And for my money, I think it's spot on. And I thought the California Board of Regents botched the UCLA situation miserably. I think the Arizona Board of Regents is kicking ass. I think this is and this person I spoke to, I don't say this very often at all. If you watch a show, you know this. I was wildly impressed with the person I spoke to.
I'm for real.
Could not believe it.
I'm for real.
Could not believe it.
Yeah,
wildly impressed. Like, I hung up the phone and I was like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I never felt that way about the Cal system because it's a disaster. Education in California is a whole different beast.
This case is empty.
I think with the climate in Arizona, I think with everything from the economy to politics to the water situation, dude, I think they have a lot of fights to fight. I think they do not want to fight Arizona and Arizona State being uncoupled.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
I really don't, and I don't think they're going to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they will make it very difficult in one way or another for Arizona to operate without Arizona State.
I would agree.
I think and I don't have the answers to how they will do that. People on Twitter were asking me, well, how much is it going to cost? I don't know that it's going to be hey, you're going to have to, UCLA is going to have to pay Cal whatever that, mommy money is. You're going to have to pay them like $1 million a year. Well, whatever you want to call it, right? Like the UCLA, the Euclid endowment or whatever.
Hey, we wanted to leave this bunko conference.
Exactly.
And this is our fee to do it.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't think that's going to be the way this happens because, frankly, I think the burden financially that Arizona State's dealing with athletically is their own doing. It's their own doing.
But that's why I say, yeah, sure, maybe not. You don't have to win every game, but man, if Arizona State could make it to, I don't know, the tournament, like a deep tournament run once in a while, that'd be nice. If you could, be relevant in football at some point. Hey, Dillingham might want to get this thing going a little bit here. I know you're young in the game with Arizona State, but need some wins here. Need to be a. I don't know how they'd find their way to a college football playoff spot, even in the expanded version, but, that would be incredible. I mean, think about that. Even if they were just a one-and-done team, scraped into the college football playoff, got eliminated. You know what kind of money you're going to get for being a college football playoff team? Extra money to help with that financial situation. So that's why I say, yeah, sure, winning doesn't matter if you don't need to win every game. But I'm telling you, winning always matters. Don't play the game if you're not concerned about winning. That's the difference.
And the thing I say at Arizona is, what if you had given Todd Graham another year? What if you had given Todd Graham another year? Because he's the one that, and for those of you who don't remember, Todd Graham was the head football coach at Arizona State before Herman Edwards. And they fired Todd as soon as he was done fundraising, it felt like, for the stadium renovation, right? We talked to him at Pac-12 Media Day. Yes. And he was fired up and, hey, we're going to be great. And we just raised all this money. And Todd Graham sat on our show and was like, I skipped a honeymoon and a vacation. Or I think he said I skipped somebody's honeymoon. They were supposed to go. He stayed. He had fundraising. Hey, I didn't take my wife on vacation because I had to fundraise for the new building renovation. Did all this stuff. And all he talked about was how proud of Arizona State he was. And I'm thrilled to be here. And then they fired him. And they brought in Herm Edwards. And I thought, we may have even said it at the time, I thought it was a mistake when they did it. I think they needed and they deserved, Todd Graham deserved another year. And they didn't get it. And they didn't give it to him. And I think that, to me, just in my opinion, I think to me that's where this goes back to. All right.
Yeah.
Whew. There you go. That's what we got for you today. And I know everybody's all fired up and everybody wants to be wondering why Jake screwed up his computer today, and
I don't know, man. Today's gonna be one of those tech days.
Just restart it, man. Dude. Restart it.
I think
Anyway,
we're okay.
my point is.
Yeah.
What do you guys come down on this as? Please, if you're here right now, all 715 of you, please hit the like button. That really helps the channel grow. It tells YouTube that you're here watching the show. You like it. If you're here, drop a comment. We read pretty much every one of the comments we get, but only after we hit the buckshot from Bucked Up. Holy cow.
Let's go.
You guys, I personally, because I care about this show, and, I am somebody that wants the show to do well, I went to the Bucked Up warehouse sale this weekend. Yes. Jake, how was that experience for you?
It's fine, dude. The airport looked nice. It was amazing.
Anyway, well, some of us have girlfriends. Those of us have life partners.
Dilly.
I know,
Big difference.
I know.
But what did I get? I got brand new Bucked Up buckshots. You guys, they're the best. They're in the description of this show below. If you're listening on the audio podcast, thank you for being here. Check the description below. When I tell you these buckshots are amazing, there's not a situation I don't use them in. There you look. You get 6 free buckshot. And let me tell you why I love buckshot real quick. High-powered energy that lasts you all day long. I was playing up in Park City Golf at Canyons Resort, Canyons Golf, and I got into a 2-hole situation where I just felt like I had made the turn and I was playing like crap. And my wife, because she's a life partner, not a girlfriend, had put had put a buckshot in the cooler on the cart, right? So what did I do? I cracked open that buckshot. It was a watermelon, of course. And I said, down the hatch. About 2 minutes later, dude, you just feel better. About 5 minutes later. Hit an awesome iron. Took a 6-iron, hit it about, I don't know, that uphill shot on 17, Jake.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably.
What is that? 200? 250?
180-ish.
Uphill?
Yeah.
Right on the green, baby. It was beautiful. And you just get a mental lift. You feel better because it's clean, long-lasting energy to give you that mental lift. Get the free buckshot right now sent to your front door in the description below. First one in today, Suck It Up Buttercup says Suck It Up Buttercup, and hit the like button. We appreciate that very much. When you guys hit the like button, it helps the channel grow. Immaculate says Arizona State and UA are not tied at the hip because it's only possible that one of them could end up in the Big Ten. I don't see either one of them going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, they're not Big Ten teams.
More likely that neither of them do, but they are keeping the door open. I think there's a real chance that Arizona is one of in the first group of teams that goes to the Big 12.
Yeah.
I don't see either one of them going to the Big 10. I think if Arizona State were smart, they would go with Arizona, and you would go to the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's more money. It solidifies your future. I think you're gonna give yourself access to a much wider net of money and winning.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Hey, what's up, Tom Dean? Look at Tom Dean joining the membership. Let's go,
baby. Walk to a good start.
Let's go, Tom Dean. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining the membership. You guys, hit the join button. It's as little as $1.99 a month. And what that does is that gets your comment highlighted like Tom Dean's. We read all of our member comments. For $9.99 a month, you get access to our members-only Instagram group. Great group of dudes. We chat all the time. We talk all the time. We put our non-existent merch drops in there, and we put all of our breaking news into that members-only chat. That's $9.99 a month. But, hey, we're just appreciate that you guys are here. Thank you very much for that. Let me go back to the top a little bit because I see a lot of you guys commenting. Provo Cougar fan, not caring if you win or lose is exactly why USC is leaving the pack for the Big Ten. I don't know that I agree with that. I think USC is leaving the pack for the Big Ten out of a myriad of reasons, but I think they were tired of financially supporting the conference, as many of their constituents are. I think USC knew that they were the big ticket in town in the Pac-12, and I think a lot of people at USC got tired of carrying the water for everybody.
Yeah.
And while that may not be the case, because I think Oregon, Washington, and Utah make significant brand and reach, I think that USC was very clearly the one carrying the mail in the conference. And I think that frustrated people, as it should have. Jim Choi, Frank Kush ain't walking through that ASU door anytime soon. No, he's not.
Nope.
Jim, no, he is not. Truck Stop Gumby, ASU got them hot chicks. I mean, I don't disagree with you. You know, I don't. Darren Ingram Golf says golf sucks. Hey, man, Darren Ingram, who is the teaching pro up at Canyons in Park City. I'll have you know, sir, that I shot an 83 and an 85 at Canyons Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Was it Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Sunday? I can't remember.
Friday and Sunday, I think.
Friday and Sunday?
Yeah.
That's fine. Crushed it. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. It was amazing. And there's nothing when you hit a pure iron into an elevated green and you're just watching that ball that you just paid $79 for the one individual golf ball. But you're just watching it. Yeah, you're watching it climb, and you get bricked up. You watch that ball climb, and it's about to crescendo, and you're like, "Oh, get over the bunker, you bastard!" And it lands on the green.
How about that?
And then you go up to the 18th tee at Canyons, which is elevated, and you hit down, and you absolutely nuke a drive.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
It's amazing.
Nothing. Golf does not suck.
No.
No, it does not. You bite your tongue, sir. Bob Holsey, why does Arizona have to suffer for ASU screw up? Well, because
It's your own question.
Because it's much like Washington State, UCLA and Cal.
Oregon and Oregon State.
I mean, when you're in business together, you're in business for better or for worse. And I think one of the things that people struggle with is understanding who truly runs the business of sports in college football, college basketball, college anything. Well, a bunch of professors and smart people. That's who. The person I talked to today, I've never seen a better resume. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you. Looking at this person's LinkedIn, looking at this person's bio on the Board of Regents, I've never seen a better resume ever in my entire life.
Back of the envelope calculations.
Have I never, ever seen a better resume than that? This dude's resume is like, hello. It's unbelievable. But he's not a sports guy.
No.
And this person straight up said, I'm not a sports guy. I'm not a sports fan.
Yeah.
My first priority is not, quote, my first priority is not scoring touchdowns.
Oh.
So you start to understand that's the battle that you're fighting. And it's not a battle. I think it's exactly how it should be. I truly do. What's up, Sooner Fan for Life? A member. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Sooner Fan for Life. Join in the membership. Appreciate you, Sooner Fan for Life. Join in the entry-level membership. Thank you very much, you guys. You are amazing. All of your membership dollars go straight into my golf bag. We need to talk about the price of golf balls. Not right now. Not right now. Screw you, Pro V1s.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
If you're hitting a Pro V1, you're stupid. No, it's a really nice golf ball.
I'm going to take my Bridgestone, bro.
Okay. $50 for 12 golf balls.
Yeah.
Screw you. You act like I can make Board of Regents money. I do not. Anyway, okay, I feel better. Charles Chamberlain, if I am Arizona, I go to the Big 12 no matter the cost and try to follow the KU model of using basketball to lift the rest of the athletic programs. Well, it's funny you should bring that up, Charles, because we've also talked about this on the show, and I do think it's incredibly relevant that you have a guy in Brett Yormark, right? And I know everybody told us, you're lying, you're making it up.
Well, old Monty show.
Yeah, trust sources, bro. Trust me, bro.
Big 12 ain't on.
But trust me, bro. What did we tell you? We told you 6 weeks ago, Big 12 is making basketball its own business unit, right? We've been talking about this. You're making that shit up. Nobody else had it. And there's no way the two hacks on YouTube had it. Nah. Couldn't be true. I mean, this quote from Brett Yormark, he must have lied when he told ESPN, quote, as we think about the future and ways to create value, there is always the option to decouple basketball from football to see if there's further value we can create for the conference. Oh. Wait a minute. would that be like taking basketball? And I know this is some crazy shit, but would that be like taking basketball and making it its own business unit? I mean, I know nobody has, I mean, out of those, the couple of yahoos, those idiots on YouTube made this up. That,
you know.
Okay.
Okay.
On with the show.
Good talk.
I mean, if you're Arizona,
Yeah.
and your president, President Robbins,
Right.
has already talked about his affinities and the proximity of the Big 12 footprint and the league's powerhouse basketball brand as the basis for, quote, some affinities.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
Man, she like 6 foot tall and blonde. I got some affinity. You know what I mean? Like, President Robbins in Arizona, how could he not like the Big 12? It is the best basketball conference in the country.
I'm a man.
It is, no doubt about it. How could he not have some affinities? And then when you hear, you know, the two hacks on YouTube tell you, hey, the Big 12 is making basketball its own business unit, and then good old Bretty, my God, Brett Yormark, BY, says, you know, there's always the option to decouple basketball from football.
Y'all feel me?
You know.
We're working over here. We're trying.
Just the hacks on YouTube.
But by the way, I do think that's a really good idea.
It is an excellent idea. Scott Andrews, I caught up on Friday's show on Saturday, so I was wondering the whole weekend, is Jakey Two Holes located on the right? So it took 34 minutes.
Bro, we go up to Canyons. First tee box. Bring the girlfriend, Mrs. Monty, us. Oh, foursome happening here. First tee box.
Stay hard.
I hit a driver, promptly slice it way right into Jamaica. It was fine. Get back to the cart. What's on my scorecard? What is my girlfriend written on my scorecard? Jakey 2 holes. like, how is it that makes it onto my golf scorecard at a wonderful course like Canyons?
Jakey 2 Holes. By the way, I would remind everybody, he sliced his driveway right. Mine hit the 100-yard stick. Just saying. You know, some of us can golf, and then others of us are.
You lost it in the rough off the irons. It's fine, though.
I did. I hit the iron.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Not way left, just into the high rough. It was, and then I like 18 putted the first green. But I mean, you know, it's fine. Big Jack 512. What's a foursome divided by 2 holes situation? Hey man, no. Ken Williams, the Buffs suck in both football and basketball. Why would the Big 12 want them? Well, I mean,
no one's going to disrespect me.
Listen, you guys.
I'm not afraid to die.
I think we all understand.
When I die, I'm going to paradise.
I think we all understand, Ken.
Oh,
Why Arizona
Dion!
Certain affinities.
Brad, please.
You know, I mean,
Please.
my guy, he's got the lettuce and stuff.
I don't care if he's in the middle of open heart surgery. Get him on the phone.
You know, it's pride.
Yeah.
Thank you for walking us right into that picture. Dennis Headley, with what Colorado does will have no effect on what Utah and the Arizona schools do. Yeah, I think that's completely right. I think Colorado wants to go. I think Colorado's going to go.
I think everyone's getting on the school bus right now. That's what's happening.
No, I think what everybody's doing is making sure there's room on the school bus because it's sitting in the parking lot idling. And I just don't. I don't know how many times I can say it on this show and on Twitter. Nobody's going anywhere until there is some closure on the TV deal.
Yeah.
And I think that there is no question in my mind that when you look at what our sources are telling us is that the Big 12 is waiting for the Pac-12 to, quote, close their TV business before acting on expansion.
Well, and I think that kind of speaks for where the Pac-12 is at. I mean, if you don't want to believe us and you don't want to believe the information we've given you, which has been spot on, I might add, the Big 12 as a conference having their stance be, we're going to wait for this thing to burn to the ground. And by the way, we're going to have our camp chair and popcorn while we watch. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what else you need.
I think that is exactly what it is. I love Red Rock. Gives us a $3 super sticker. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ken Williams says, LOL, Colorado sucks.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Truck stop Gumby. Better take the bus to the truck stop for a quick fill-up before takeoff. Probably. It's a truck stop conference now.
Yeah, Flying J.
You can't fly. No, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. Kurt Myers. Tanner, I'm not on Instagram, but I am on Facebook and Messenger. Okay. Tanner says, I wouldn't be shocked if Jake decides to do a three-way with Katie and Prime.
Okay, so now you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard, bro.
Get help. Anyway, Immaculate. What network is going to all of a sudden be more open with their money to the PAC after Colorado and Prime leave the PAC? Colorado leaving will affect the decision-making of Utah, Arizona, and ASU. I just don't think it will.
I think you're grossly underestimating how often these people talk. It's not like Colorado is bouncing on their own, dude. I'm telling you.
It's not like one day the phone's going to ring at some university and they're going to be like, oh, shit, Jimmy, did you hear Colorado's leaving? What? What? Wait, Colorado's leaving? Are you?
Code 10 abort.
Dude, they all know what they're doing. They all know what Colorado's doing. I think, frankly, they know what Arizona's doing, and there are no secrets. There's no more USC and UCLA just up and leaving. Those days are over now. They learned from that situation. They talk all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And I'm telling you, I have been told 1,000 times by sources in the television industry, every president in the Pac-12 is well aware of what the TV number is and where it currently stands and with who. And they are simply in a situation where I think they gave Brett Yormark, they gave George Kliavkoff a drop-dead date or a period in time. And we are simply waiting out that period in time.
That's the bottom line.
The numbers aren't going to change. The players aren't going to change. It just is what it is. And I think George Kliavkoff and his guys are probably out there trying to, frankly, find a needle in a haystack when they don't have a haystack to look for a needle that was never theirs. Like they don't have, there's nobody in this climate that is going to fork over $300 million a year. There's not.
Nope.
And I think the biggest, the death knell here and the biggest threat to the existence of the Pac-12 as we know it is simply that most of these presidents don't believe that full-time streaming is the right approach. And so they will never go all in on Apple TV. Nope. I would be...
Even with the Vision Pro being announced today.
Stop. Dude, we're going to have an argument over... You may see physical violence on this show today. Because I swear, if you show up at my house ever, we'll talk about Apple Vision Pro. Vision Pro, bro. Wouldn't put on an Oculus. Oh, but Vision Pro?
An Oculus is a pile of crap, dude.
Oh, my God. Vision Pro. What am I looking at over here? Is this what a fly looks like?
Look here, man.
We'll talk about headsets later in the show. Conundrum. No closure, no TV deal, not without a grant of rights. Well, when I say closure, I think generally what you're going to see is they're going to come to a decision.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, okay, hey, this is where we're at. This is, hey, it's this date. What do you got? Here, what's your best deal?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your best deal? Okay, peace out. We're going to the Big 12.
We'll see you.
We're going to the Pac, or we're going to the Big 10. Hey, we're gonna stick it out with you guys. Hey, you're not getting. I don't see a way, and I'm not trying to be harsh, and I know that the critics are going to be like, oh, fat ass did it again. I don't see a way that you get all 10 of the current members to sign a grant of rights, and I don't care what the money is.
So get your facts straight.
Because my opinion is Colorado wants to go. Colorado wants to go. And I think you look at the programs in this conference that are in real peril.
Yeah.
I think the program at Washington State is very much in trouble.
Yeah. How are you not?
Very, very much in trouble.
Just $70+ million in the wrong direction, but it's fine.
Well, and I think that Kirk Schultz has lost the crew. I think that dude is facing a mutiny on some levels. I think there are some people who are really upset with the way he spends money.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard to overcome that. And I think the Rolovich situation, and I think that, I mean,
yeah,
it's unbelievable the amount of strife that's going on at Washington State. And you guys, I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you fix it. You are very much a regional program. I mean, does Washington State have value to the Mountain West? Absolutely.
100%.
Do they have value to the Pac-12? I don't think so. Do they have value to the Big 12? I don't believe so.
No.
So we can sit here and guess and play games, but to what end?
I do think that's the difference between Washington State and Arizona State, though, if we're being honest. Like, Arizona State definitely has value to the Big 12. No doubt about it.
I would agree with that.
Washington State does not. Oregon State, you have value. Absolutely.
I would agree with that.
Washington State, you do not.
I just don't know how you fix it. That's the thing that I'm not. Honestly, I don't know how you fix the Pac-12 right now.
No, I don't think there is fixing it, and I think there's too many Washington State situations. I mean, again, you know, and this isn't reinventing the wheel. Like, again, the budgets in the Pac-12 at these different institutions are quite literally just P&L sheets. Hey, athletic budget, this budget, that budget. Like, you know, so again, when Ray Anderson is doing what Ray Anderson's done the last decade, which is not good things for the athletic program, other areas are going to have to pitch in to cover that. And that's why you can't have check after check after check after check in your athletic program. That's not going to work.
Man, if you are K-State, if you're one of the lower tier programs in the Big 12, I mean, just stay along for the ride.
Yeah.
Because look at people like TCU, Kansas State, like afterthoughts, people that were mocked and belittled, now competing at the top of the conference. Look at KU. KU's the big dog in basketball, right? Like, I mean, you look at where the big, because the Big 12 was very much where the Pac-12 is now. I mean, there's just no question about that. How many mega teams in one conference can walk away and you survive?
Yeah.
Unlikely at best. Unrealistic at best.
Do you know what that's like these days?
And now you're the third best conference in all of college athletics. And really, if we're talking about on the field, you're number 2.
Yeah.
Because I think the Big 12 is the best basketball conference. And we could sit here and have an argument about Pac-12 or Big 12 on the football field, but there's no doubt the SEC is the best. I think the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are better football conferences than the Big 10.
Yeah.
I would tell you, I think I could make an argument, and a very rich one, that the Big 12 is the number 2 athletic conference in the country.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would get much pushback.
I don't think that's much of a stretch at all.
Nor is it that Todd James has joined the membership.
Let's go, baby. Welcome to the show.
Let's go. Welcome to the membership. Appreciate you very much. You guys hit the join button right after you hit the like button on the show. Talking about the latest details in the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 burns. By the way, a lot of people have been asking about, well, the Board of Regents is having a meeting.
And it's very powerful.
An executive session. Are we going to get an announcement after? You're not.
What the fuck does one thing have to do with the other?
Remember that they have to vote in public if you're going to, hey, I'm going to go to the Big 12. Colorado. They can meet in an executive session and in private, but if they're going to make a significant move, they have to do that in a public meeting.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that they couldn't have an executive session, then 15 minutes later have a public session? 15 minutes later? Sure, they could.
Yeah.
Sure they could. But my guess is that they're going to talk about, and you saw whatever the agenda said.
Yeah.
Because they have to publish an agenda.
We're talking about an athletic matter.
I mean, you're coming out of meetings in West Virginia where the Big 12 has openly and honestly said, we talked about expansion. And in the right time and under the right circumstances, we would be aggressive. And we've already told you on this show, Gonzaga has a verbal offer to join the conference. We told you that months and months ago.
Gonzaga.
And I get it. We're stupid. We don't know what we're talking about.
Gonzaga. I like Gonzaga.
Never mind. What was everybody talking about over the weekend? Oh, yeah, Gonzaga's in.
Gonzaga.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
There's a process. There is a process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it will play out. There's no doubt about that. Brent Burnett The money is half, so why stay in the pack unless you have lots of money from other sources? Because they have lots of money from other sources.
Like, you need to understand that this athletic money is nothing compared to the educational money. I mean, again, a couple $100 million, for a conference-wide deal that gives each school, 20 mil. Like, that's a line item, bro. You're talking about billion-dollar entities here. $20 million is a round of golf money, bro. Like, bucket of balls money, dude. Like that's nothing. But again, the problem is that when you're looking at your athletic department and you're $75 million in the negative, that's a problem, man. That's a problem. So that's why.
Yeah, I totally agree. I Love Red Rock gives us $2 more. We appreciate that. Thank you. Settle down. Settle down. Anyway, my point is that I think it's a matter of time. Damien says, who votes in public voting meetings? How many people? Well, when you have a board, everybody's got rules. So you have to have a certain numbers of yay versus nays. And in my experience, you see boards of regents, city councils, congressmen, senators. The deals are made in executive session.
Yeah.
The deals are made in hallways and bus rides and car rides and plane flights. And they're very rarely made in emails or text messages because those are on the record. But we're going to stand around. We're going to chit-chat. We're going to sit in executive session. And then the 7 of us, the 15 of us, the 150 of us, we're going to sit here and we're going to make a deal. And then in public session, we're going to listen to a bunch of people bitch and moan and gripe.
Right.
And then we're going to vote the way we decided to vote in executive session.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yep.
It's not, I think people have this idea that democracy is democratic. It's not.
Yeah.
When you're talking about situations like the Arizona Board of Regents, we specifically asked today, hey, what will this look like? And they said, hey, we know where this is going. We know where this is going.
Yeah.
They know where. It's not a matter of, hey, well, we got to get into executive session so we can really hash this out.
Fucking A.
The executive session is, okay, we have to take step 1, put out the agenda. Step 2, have the executive session. Step 3, let Paul, who lives on Main Street, walk in here and bitch and moan. Step 4, have Paul kicked out by the police. Step 5, get a restraining order.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
Step 7, vote. Like they
Step
know.
8, pop the drinks.
Yeah. Go run my fingers. Go have Jakey Two Holes run his fingers through Deion's chest hair.
Because it's all part of the plan.
To welcome him to the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right? Like this stuff is already decided.
Jakey Two Holes.
Jakey Two Holes.
Here I am.
You're welcome. I take full credit for that. But my point is that's how this is going to play out. It's not like this is a secret.
Yeah.
Right? Sebesta says you never hold a vote unless you know how it's going to fall first.
That's
ever.
precisely correct.
Ever. Whether it's, look at the debt deal in Washington or.
God, what a joke.
But you're negotiating all that stuff already. Hey, I'm going to vote yes if you call my son Jakey Two Holes. Right? Okay, cool. We'll put that in the bill. Hey, I need money for a new bridge. Okay, we'll put that in the bill. You'll vote yes. All right, cool.
Cock.
Yeah. Hey, I need a dick.
I need a dick.
By the way, we have exclusive video for you from inside the Arizona Board of Regents meeting.
Waves in opposition. I need a dick. He's an opponent. Waves in opposition. Holden Hiscock is also an opponent.
Only in Florida.
Bro, it never gets old, dude.
Anyway, my point is, you're welcome. My point is, they know how this stuff's going to work out. Derek Roche, the Big Lubbock, academics matter to academic conferences like the Big Ten. That's why the Big isn't at the Big 12 for anything. It's just not sports. It's both. Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's just no doubt about that.
Yeah.
This is not, and I know it's not a straight line from yes to no or hey, or it's we have this on the show all the time, and I try not to get in the weeds on this, man. I really do, but these conference realignment conversations are so rarely about sports. They're so rarely about sports. Like one of the people I talked to today about the Arizona thing, what is the first university they brought up? Stanford. You can't make it up. Oh. Because we're talking about tens of hundreds of billions of dollars in academics.
Yep.
That are whether you want to acknowledge it or embrace it, that's what we're talking. We're not talking about 50, 80, 90 million dollar athletic budgets.
Talking about practice.
We're talking about billions of dollars in medical research. We're talking about Arizona State announcing all of these, I think didn't they announce a medical college or
something like that, yeah.
That's what these people are after. They're not after conference championships. They're after baccalaureates. They're after doctorates. They're after...
Yes.
That's what they're after.
Yes.
They want to be in business with Stanford.
Yes.
You can't... It's very difficult for people to embrace that. And I know it's frustrating to people. I do. I totally understand it, but it is what it is. Welcome Larry Pilgrim to the membership!
Here we go! Let's go, baby!
Let's go, Larry Pilgrim. Good to see you. Thank you for that. Mark Hale says it never gets old. It
really does not.
It never gets old.
No.
Hiscock.
It never gets old. Kurt Peters, what's up, Kurt? We're getting a prime truck stop in Boulder, right? Because it's the truck stop in the flyover, in the trucks that they fly over truck stops.
I guess that's Pac-10.
Okay. It's all very high level, under the radar, high level stuff.
High level, under the radar.
Back of the envelope calculations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like that. But that's the best part. I still love, and if you're newer to the show, the insult of, it's a truck stop conference, bro. To which they're referring to the Big 12. But then the Big 12 guys are like, oh, hey, bro, yeah, we're the truck stop conference, but you assholes are in the flyover conference. Like, what?
Ain't ducking, no smoke.
What? Okay, so first of all, find me a conference that doesn't have a truck stop in it. Go ahead, Owen.
Well, the gas prices down here at the 76 are really,
Find me a conference that doesn't have an airplane that flies over it. Go ahead, I'll wait. So what do you mean the truck stop conference? What do you mean the flyover conference?
Don't play intramurals, brother.
Now what you talking about?
The Monty Show.
Tom Dean says they canceled their Board of Regents meeting is all I know. Indeed, Colorado did that today, and I actually do think that is the biggest story of the day, and I'm not even sure that it is close. But what I do know is there was nothing planned about realignment as far as we are aware. There was no big announcement coming. There was no vote on leaving the conference. Colorado is in lockstep with the other 10 members of this conference, which is to say that Colorado is going to be patient because there's no need to be anything else but patient. There's no hurry here. I think all 10 members of the Pac-12 would like to get this done as soon as possible. But nobody's in a hurry because I am of the belief system that if Colorado, and I don't believe it'll be one team, I think it will be a group of teams should anybody leave the conference. If Colorado were to leave the conference, it would send shockwaves through the rest of the members of the conference. And I believe teams like Arizona and Utah, Oregon and Washington would be forced to act. So this is not a move that Colorado is going to take lightly. And they're certainly not going to do it in a brief, Board of Regents meeting. That's just not the way Colorado has gone about this. And, Jake, I think we all get excited because it's a Board of Regents meeting and it's in public. So certainly they must be talking about a vote on leaving the conference.
Yeah, certainly, right? No, not really. I think that, obviously there was an overreaction to this meeting. And again, it's a very straightforward thing. Nobody's making any decisions until a media deal comes back and they know what that number is. It's just really that simple. And I think, after the events of yesterday and some of the reporting and everything, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch yesterday's show. But But after what happened yesterday, I think that there's some burnout on, bad reporting. There's some burnout on getting ahead of the curve. There's some burnout on, saying something and reporting something that just is blatantly not true. And so with this meeting, I think a lot of people just didn't believe everyone who was saying, oh, like this is going to be a vote to leave the conference. I think because of yesterday, people were like, well, actually, we don't really know that. They just kind of canceled the meeting, and it is what it is. And I think you can kind of see the frustration with the whole situation. And so for my money, I'm just like, yeah, hey, they canceled the meeting. I don't think they were voting on leaving the conference, mainly because they don't know if they want to leave the conference. And really, the whole situation just comes down to whether they know the number with the distribution deal. Because again, I don't believe that there's equal revenue sharing, even with all these reports out there. There's no way on God's green Pac-12 conference that Oregon is going to get the same share as Washington State. That's not happening. That's not how it works. So for all these people out there, talking about equal revenue sharing and every team's going to get the same slice of the pie, that is just not true. We don't know that. And if it is true, nobody's signing that grant of rights. That's not happening. Phil Knight and his Nike money is not signing that grant of rights. President Cosse at Washington's not signing that grant of rights. So for me, I look at this Colorado meeting and I just say it's a nothing burger. There's nothing there. They weren't voting on going to the Big 12. Just because it was a public session does not immediately mean that you were voting to go to the Big 12. So I just think it wasn't a big deal. I think that's as easy as it is.
Yeah, and I know there have been all kinds of wild rumors around about why they canceled the. Until something happens, nothing happened. Not to be the master of the obvious, and I say that because this is. I think most people view this as just some little game that we're waiting to play out. It's not a game in any way, shape, or form. These moves have very serious implications on a lot of people's lives. There are people's livelihoods at stake. There are people's incomes at stake. There are people's legacies at stake. You don't take that stuff lightly. I mean, you look at the job that a lot of these people that work for the Pac-12 do. They're going to be out of work if this whole thing, if everybody that's celebrating the Pac-12 collapsing, there's a human toll to be paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we really work hard not to celebrate and not to overreach, because I just don't think there's a need to do that.
Well, and I think that word you use there, celebrating. There's a lot of people celebrating this Pac-12 situation, and I think it's unnecessary. Do we talk about it every day? Yeah, we do. Does that mean that we're celebrating the Pac-12 burning to the ground? No, we're not.
Not at all.
I believe that you're paying the price for the decisions you made and the commissioners you hired. Like I literally think that's all this is, because I can assure you that with a better commissioner, the Comcast situation never happens. With better management and better leadership, a lot of these situations you find yourself in never happen. Hey, by the way, maybe if you had a more savvy commissioner, maybe they would have listened to Fox and ESPN when those two came to you and said, hey, you should merge with the Big 12. Maybe you would have given that conversation some more credence. I don't know, but I think that's why you're there, and I don't think it should be celebrated because, frankly, with all due respect to Stillwater and the Midwest and everything, you're not shaking a stick at the Bay Area or Los Angeles or San Diego or the Pacific Northwest. Like, that's prime real estate and geography in our country.
Totally agree.
And the idea that a conference is burning to the ground that has that geography is incredible to me.
Yeah, it is mismanagement. I don't have any issue with that. Tom Dean says, I read the CU president needed an emergency colonoscopy. No idea if that's true or not, and I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, to me, with all due respect to Tom, and I appreciate the $2, are we really sitting here thinking, like, this is what we've reduced a Board of Regents meeting to? That certainly there must have been a colonoscopy, which is the only reason that Colorado wouldn't leave the conference. Not that that's what Tom is saying, but, I mean, when we're guessing that a guy had to have an emergency colonoscopy, and that's why a Board of Regents meeting didn't happen, that's kind of shocking to me.
Like, do you understand the reach that is? And, like, do you understand how bad of a situation it has to be for someone to need an emergency colonoscopy.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's funny. I don't, anyway. Expedition Greg gives us $2 to say, totally love the Big Ten new schedule model. Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up. I think they crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. As the Big 12 has, interestingly enough, on Big 12 Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not a fan of this?
Yeah, I think that from a business standpoint, it's fine. I understand the logic and the positives from a business standpoint, but I think there are just a couple of items that no one's talking about. Like Mexico isn't the safest country in the world. I'm not saying that the United States is perfectly safe either, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to compare the two, but
sure.
When I look at the Big 12 and I look at trying to expand in a global sense, I love that concept, but I do think there's some baggage that comes with it. Like how many articles do I read on a weekly basis of, hey, this tourist or that tourist, wound up on the side of the road or something, or some horrible act was done. Like I understand that these kids are protected. They're in, a schedule. They're in very protected spaces. And are the odds high that something happens to them? No, of course not, right? Like, of course not. But I just wonder, okay, why was Mexico the first choice? Well, because it's close, right? It's our southern border. It's right there. It's not far. Like, logistically speaking, it's easy. So I get it. But I just think when you talk about Big 12 expansion and really just college athletic expansion and getting to other countries and regions where you wouldn't necessarily be in a traditional sense, you got to be careful and you got to take into account that things like, LiAngelo Ball trying to steal sunglasses out of a shop in China, I think it was, or wherever that was, things like that can happen. And we can go from nice, cute little basketball tournament in another country to, hey, kid is sitting in a Mexican jail cell real quick. Like, those are the things that I have concerns with. Now, from a business sense, amazing. Money-making opportunity, you're growing your brand, like you're becoming a global entity instead of just a domestic entity. Like,
right.
It makes perfect sense. But I just have some concerns around that because I think when kids go into other countries, they're in the moment, they do things they shouldn't, and now all of a sudden you got a mess on your hands. And that's the tough part.
Yeah, I think it is a stroke of genius in business that you are going to start playing basketball games in Mexico in December of 2024. I think that when you're going to have a bowl game as soon as 2026 in Monterrey, I think it's genius. I mean, anything to grow that brand internationally. And the funny thing is, you bring up the LiAngelo Ball situation at UCLA. That was the Pac-12's attempt to reach the Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
And it failed miserably. And I think that is, when we talk about mistakes and issues and things that have hurt or hampered the Pac-12, certainly that LiAngelo Ball moment in time for UCLA is one that a lot of people will go back to.
Yeah.
Now, does something like that happen in Mexico? Man, I certainly hope not, and I would think not.
Yeah.
Are the dangers of the everyday reality for the Mexican people, something to consider? Of course. But I think if you're the Big 12, you have infrastructure in place for that.
Yeah.
And I think any country that you travel to, you have to be aware. I don't particularly worry about that. I think it is an amazing win for the Big 12 to get on that stage, to be in that spotlight. I think is huge.
Yeah.
And the PR that you're going to generate and the recruiting that you're going to get out of that, the cultural exposure that your athletes and staff are going to get out of that, like I just don't see how it's not a win altogether. I think it brings value for your TV partners. I think partners like ESPN Deportes, it is roundly a win for the Big 12, for its business partners, its commercial division. I think it is roundly a win. And I think the thing that when you compare the Big 12 to the Pac-12, the hard part is the Pac-12 doesn't currently have the ability to do any of this.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're going to be here in 2024.
Facts.
And I think it is very smart of the Big 12 to keep running away. I mean, you're You are sprinting away from the Pac-12 that is standing still.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the money-making department, I think you're level with the SEC. I mean, if you're not level, you're close to level.
Yeah.
Because you are, if you're going to play a bowl game, dude, that is good money.
Yeah.
That is good money. And a bowl game that will be desirable because it's in a huge stadium that is going to be packed. Because the Mexican people love American sports.
The other question I would have for in specifically in a bowl game scenario, let's not forget the NFL experience, right? When the NFL was playing games in Mexico, the players complained about the turf and had some quality issue complaints. I wonder, if we see that, or if because it's not the NFL, if the Big 12 says, "Hey, we got certain standards that we gotta live up to." Those are things that I would be looking for. But again, like I said, I'm not saying that this is a bad idea. I think it's a great idea. I just think that you have to really be buttoned up on, things like grass quality, field quality, safety and security. Like if you do all those things, then there's no reason why it can't be a super successful venture and idea.
I just on reach alone.
Yeah.
On reach alone, man, to be able to put Kansas basketball in Mexico City, to be able to put your best football brand in Monterrey, Mexico. I mean, that's the stuff of legends, man. Like that's just the exposure to the Mexican community and to the culture of Mexico. Huge win. But when we're talking about branding, when we're talking about and many of you may not know this, I don't know, but the baseball leagues in Mexico are actually quite good.
Yeah.
To be playing Big 12 baseball, let's say, in Mexico, to be mixing your maybe it's soccer, maybe it's, obviously it's basketball, to be mixing your basketball leagues with the Mexican Professional Basketball Association, to be bringing American football, which is massive in Mexico, to Monterrey in a population like the people of Monterrey. I just think it's a massive win. It is. I don't know how else you spin it. I really don't. I think it is. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And whether it's money making, TV reach, recruiting, it's going to be incredible. It is really going to be incredible. Ted Adams says they're replacing the turf from scratch after the last NFL game down there. It will be brand new sod in 24-25. Yeah, I'm not worried at all about that. I am not worried. I'm not worried at all about that. So, that, but that's just me. Truck Stop Gumby says the Tapatio Conference. Could be. Absolutely could be. But that's just me. Cougar Tracks says, I'm fine with Mexico if I can take a gun. Take it easy. See, and look, again, and I just disagree with you on this. I understand, are there drug cartels and murders and gun wars? Yeah. Welcome to the United States of America. Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome to Mexico. I understand that it is a country that struggles with crime, as do we. I understand it is a country that struggles with guns, as do we. I understand it's a country that struggles with the drug trade and murder, as do we. That doesn't mean that people shouldn't come here and enjoy culture and travel and sports. You have to be vigilant. You have to be smart. You have to be educated. If you are the Big 12, you have to bring security. You have to have security measures in place. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't. Kurt Peters says, I love me some summer Tapatio. Mild. That's all I'm asking for. My wife loves the spicy, not me. Spangler, no, the cartel turned those guys into the police. The cartel are good guys. Come on now. Mexico has an enormous upper class, tons of untapped money and access. Sure, could be. Kurt Peters, all I know is don't take the Big 12 basketball to Russia. We'd not cool there.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
You know.
See what he like? That's a Brittany Griner reference.
I'm just saying,
cannabis
situations like that. Now, do I think that Mexico is far easier to deal with than the Russians? Obviously. Yep,
I would agree. Drew Christensen, I'm with two holes. Jakey two holes.
Hey, by the way, Drew Christensen's big on the Macavo. What did we hear this morning in a little meeting? What did we hear?
Stop. Dude,
hey guys.
We're 21 minutes into the show. Let me take a breath before you start running out how great the Bacavo is.
Well.
Right? We've established this on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes the Bacavo more than they like the Deluxe. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's taken the Bacavo over the Cordon Bleu.
Well.
Nobody.
I guess there's one of us.
You. That's it.
Me.
You. There's nobody else that's taken the Bacavo over the Deluxe at Super Chicks. It's not happening.
I know.
Drew says, I'm with two holes. I'm not a huge fan personally of the Big 12 basketball in Mexico.
Okay, hear me clearly, though, because I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it, right? Like, I've been kind of clear on this. I'm a fan of the idea. I'm a fan of, hey, expand your brand internationally. Absolutely. From a business sense, it makes total sense. Sure. All I'm saying is that it's one incident away. Do we have gun problems and drug problems here? Yes, we do. What's the difference? If someone gets in trouble here, they're on U.S. soil, not Mexican or Russian soil. That's the only difference. That's it. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad idea. Yeah. Not trying to say I'm not a fan of it. I agree. We have issues here. People be dying every day in Chicago. Every single day.
Every day.
Every day. Yet, we still have Bulls games. I get it. I absolutely get it. But the culture is different. So that's all I'm saying. I think it's a great idea. I just think you have to be real buttoned up with those security teams.
I don't even disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't. Raider Mark, Mexico is hosting the World Cup. I think security won't be an issue.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I don't know that I would compare the two, but I understand what you're saying. I do. I mean, you know. Big Daddy Magic.
Okay, let me.
I haven't even seen this comment yet, and I'm worried about it.
Victor's the way.
See it now. I'll be where your basketball player goes to Mexico Joe for stealing donkeys.
Bro, I don't know what you're talking about, but
dude, you know the funny thing is, listen, man, the edibles, just put them away.
It's only $3.20.
No edibles yet. Raider Mark says hosting with U.S. and Canada. Yeah, I'm here for it. Big 12 basketball to Moscow, Jimmy. Stop.
Dude.
Stop. You know. Tanner says that was just my experience, though. Okay. Spangler, avoiding crime in Mexico isn't that difficult. You just use common sense.
I hope that's true. I've never been to Mexico, so, you know.
Shannon, what's up, Christopher Shannon, says money, money, money.
Yep.
Where do you create more dollars in interest, Mexico or Canada? Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico. Everything's on fire in Canada right now.
Yeah.
How about those pictures out in New York? Did you guys see the New York pictures yesterday? Bros, these pictures, these are the Canadian wildfire smoke over New York City.
Yeah, bro.
Like, this is wild. Wildin'. It's not unprecedented. I saw a bunch of people like, we've never seen this before.
It's not true.
Every year we see it. But this is wild.
Next level.
Yeah, that's wild, dude. If you are watching in Canada, and I know we have a pretty significant Canadian crowd, I wish you well. I know it's unfortunately Jake and I have been part of that in the past. So anyone else getting audio dropping out?
Here we go.
Filling in for somebody.
Kurt Peters says, I once see a donkey show in Tijuana. Some things can't be unseen.
You fucking donkey.
Yeah, Mrs. Monty and I.
Hey, Mrs. Monty.
Way back in the day when you could, walk over the border from U.S. to Mexico in Tijuana. We did. And I drank a whole bunch of water. It was amazing. We didn't. We actually hung out, bought leather goods.
Leather goods.
Yeah, I bought a wallet in Mexico.
There's some wild shit going on right
There was. We walked over the
goods.
Dude, there is no doubt. Listen, if you have not been to Tijuana, you're never going, because it is a vastly different place than it was in the 90s. But I'm telling you that Mexico was fun. I have vivid memories of being terrified about little children selling me chiclets on the pedestrian bridge.
Right.
I'm not kidding. They're standing there with packets of chiclets, bubble gum. You don't even know what chiclets are. They're gum. And they're selling you packets of chiclets. And there are donkeys pretty much on every corner that you can take pictures with for $5. They're like, it was fun, dude. I enjoyed it. Spangler says, I live in Manhattan. I almost died yesterday. Wow. Yeah. It's tough. You look at these images in New York,
gnarly,
dude. There's nothing funny about this. Like this is, you're talking about deadly air quality.
Yeah.
Like deadly air quality. You want to breathe that in? That is Canadian wildfire smoke right there.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in breathing that in. Spangler, be cool out there in Manhattan. I know that that's a big deal. Raider Mark says, side note, Narcos was a great show. It was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. No doubt about it. Maury Alvarez, the great Floridian. Let's get a couple of polls up on Bacavo versus Deluxe and drums versus flats. Maury?
I agree.
Stop it. Raider Mark says, selling limes, bought some limes. There you go. Bryson Martin, Tijuana is now a war zone, sadly. It really is sad. Because Tijuana just didn't have to be that way. Cougar Tales, Monty, buy the chessboard pieces in Tijuana, the best. Okay. Jeremy Calzone, dude, the calzones at Papa Murphy's are amazing. Drank a bunch of water, that'll fix that colon. Right? Dude, never. Truck Stop Gumby says donkey 2 holes. Wow. Jake, any comment?
Bro, Hugh Janus.
Like, what am I supposed to say
donkey,
to that,
dude? Why? Like, and here's the thing I don't understand. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong about this, and I'm totally fine with it if I'm wrong. Can somebody explain to me the fascination with taking a picture of a small horse that is literally dropping piles of dung at your feet? Like, I don't understand it. Though the donkeys like stand on the corners, chained to posts, crapping and pissing everywhere, and people are like, oh yeah, bro, gotta get a picture, man. Hey, can I get one of them pinjatas to take a picture with donkey 2 holes?
I want it.
And how about one of those Pancho Villa things?
Bro, I thought you said pinjatas.
Yeah, pinjatas. To go with your fajitas and quesadillos. Right? Like, bro, that's... if you're taking a picture with a donkey, that's a you problem. Whatever else you choose to do behind those curtains with the donkey, hey.
The Tijuana curtain?
Yeah, hey, man, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. You do not want to know. Tom says NYC has better air today, supposedly.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple of days before that moves off. Do not buy the bacon-wrapped hot dogs, Cougar Tail says. My cousin puked from Tijuana to San Diego in the car. Disgusting.
Waves in opposition.
Come on, man.
I'm good.
Bryce Martin, the air quality was already bad enough there. Certainly it was. Spangler, I didn't wear a mask or anything, came home, took a nap, woke up choking like crazy and couldn't breathe. It sucked. Much better today. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Spangler. I am glad to hear that. Let's see. Kurt Peters, Mexico is basically a failed narco state. I have no idea. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Spangler also says yesterday wasn't like smog. You could taste the orange in your... Oh, come on, man. You can taste the orange in your mouth.
That's an issue.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Terrible. Truck Stop Gumby, Pancho Villa things. Yeah, you know those little blankets that have a hole and they're a poncho. You put them on, I've seen Starsky and Hutch. I know how this shit works. Big Daddy Magic, donkeys are overrated.
Yeah?
Surprised to hear you say
that. Then why do you
that.
like Victor?
Boyd Lakes. Oh, wow. Why? It's not a donkey. It's a burro. Oh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Which is different than a churro.
Right. Yeah. It's a burro.
I could be
That's
wrong.
the untrained eye.
Come on. I mean, that is... I've never understood that. People are like, oh, hey, like all these pictures up in Park City and up in the Tetons of these tourists trying to grab baby bison and getting gored by, their massive mother.
Ain't ducking no smoke.
What are you doing? They're animals, dude. They don't give a they want to stick their horn in your rib cage.
Yeah.
So that you won't, like, come on, man. Like, what are we really doing? Dude, Spangler, humans have relied on donkeys for thousands of years. Show some respect.
Damn.
There you go. The eye patch. So the conversation is about donkeys. Well, right now it is, because if I have to explain it, you don't get it. Hey, let's go real quick to the Big Ten schedule, because I don't understand. So if you didn't see it today, the Big Ten released their 2024-2025 schedule. I don't understand why all conferences don't do this. Because if you look, every team has every schedule, and they have this protected flex schedule thing. And like USC, look at USC's schedule in 2024. And I just say to myself, hey, they're protecting their rivalry games.
Yeah.
And I need to understand why every conference does not do this. Because when I look at these conference schedules, I say to myself, this is exactly what we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, again, I'll go back to the best games that we don't see anymore. Like Utah and BYU.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be like, oh, Max Hall's mom had beer thrown on her. I don't care. What does that got to do with playing the game? That's one of the best rivalries in sports.
Yep.
And it should be played every game. Note what's on the schedule both years for USC. Like 2024, hey, look, there's UCLA.
UCLA.
They're going to play UCLA in 2024 and in 2025.
Yeah.
You've got to do that. You've got to do that. And as you look over the schedule in the Big Ten, and you start to understand like how they built this thing, look at the 2025 conference schedule. And let me put 2024 up there first. My bad. Look at the 2024 schedule. Like, what do you see with, Northwestern playing Illinois every year, as they should? Look at Michigan. Where's Michigan? Michigan's playing Ohio State every year, as they should.
Yeah.
Like, those are games that should be played every single year. And I don't understand why we get away from that. I don't understand why we are so easy to throw away games like Wisconsin, Nebraska, or games like Michigan, USC, which are massive football games. Those are huge football games. And if the other thing I would point out to you is if you look at Ohio State's games, look at Ohio State, second row all the way on the left. Michigan State on the road. Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, UCLA. Then you look at home games, and they get Michigan, Northwestern, Iowa, Illinois. Like, those are good schedules.
Yeah.
And you look at the away games for, let's say, UCLA, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, and Rutgers. That's a hell of a travel schedule in 2024. But they get Ohio State at home, They get Nebraska at home. Like, this is, in my opinion, this is really well done. And you look at USC, UCLA ends the season. You look at the games that USC gets at home. They get Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, quality programs on the way up, going to Los Angeles. This schedule is far better, and I don't understand why more leagues don't do this. And I don't understand why, like, you look at the way that USC released this today, like with this graphic on social media and talking about the schedule, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. And the fact that they're going to have Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin at home, and they've got to go to Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, like, Purdue and UCLA, that's a ball buster schedule to welcome them to the Big Ten, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
As it should be. I think this is brilliance out of the Big Ten. I think it's exceptionally well done. I love what they did here.
Yeah, and I think it's, really beneficial with your TV partners too. You think about how to fulfill TV contracts and really bring that value from the conference side. And that's pretty much what you have, your best matchups as often as possible. And that's one of the biggest problems for, like, the Pac-12 as an example, right? Because teams are leaving and you're facing all this adversity, you're going to struggle to put together, big-time Tier 1 level games on a regular basis. So for the Big Ten, it doesn't surprise me at all. We should get like USC and Notre Dame as an example all the time, like twice a year, every single year, like USC and UCLA, like, all those matchups we just went through. We should be getting those as football fans and as TV partners every single year.
And one of the things that really worries me, like as we talk about this Colorado story today, if Colorado jumps to the Big 12 and Utah doesn't, we're going to lose the Colorado-Utah game. So not only is Utah not going to wind up playing BYU, but they're also not going to play Colorado, which I think I could argue, because they're in the same conference, is just as important of a game on a conference level as BYU is on a local non-con level.
Mm-hmm.
And to lose, for Utah to lose two games like BYU and Colorado, should Colorado ultimately wind up in the Big 12, I think would be an incredible injustice to Utah Ute fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's really important that USC and UCLA acted together. And I go back to this story yesterday on Arizona and Arizona State. And I know everybody says, well, hey, you're completely wrong. They can act, autonomously. I am telling you now, it's not a matter of permission, as I tweeted about this. Arizona and Arizona State need to play every single year. That's a rivalry. The Territorial Cup is what it's called, for those of you who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The Territorial Cup is a rivalry that matters from Tucson up to Phoenix. Like, that matters, and we're losing that because of all of this expansion in college athletics. And I think it's really bad for college sports.
Yeah.
I think it's terrible for college sports. So I'm of the mind, again, I think, quite possibly, I think, Colorado ends up in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I just will go back and say what I've said from day one. If Colorado goes to the Big 12, this has gigantic repercussions on the entire conference. And a lot of people are like, well, if they just lose Colorado, if the Pac-12 just loses Colorado, it's not some small thing that, we can easily replace them. Because you're not replacing Colorado with San Diego State or Tulane or SMU or anybody else you want to throw into that slot. Colorado is an important rival for Utah. Colorado is an important educational partner. Like, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this conference can sustain one, because I think if you lose one, you're going to lose four more. I think if you lose one, you're going to lose half the conference. And I think that's why it is so vitally important that Colorado not act on its own. I think if one team leaves, it ratchets up the rest, the pressure on the rest of the teams in the conference. And I just think the last thing that the Pac-12 needs right now is for a university like Colorado to act on its own, which I, again, don't believe will happen. I have not heard that.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people are like, oh, well, how is Colorado so relevant just by adding Prime or just by changing the culture? And it's like, well, adding Prime did a lot for them. I mean, again, when you look at relevancy, he's added so much attention and just credence to what they're trying to do. Now, again, we've talked all about how if he goes 1-11 this year, that's going to change that, obviously. And there's going to be the conversation is going to change a lot. But again, it all comes back to this idea that Colorado understands there's an opportunity for them to look shredded like Buddy does in the picture, right? And get to the Big 12.
Like Buddy does in the picture.
And take a few teams with them. Because I have always been a believer that if you're going to move conferences, you're not doing that alone. Nobody moves conferences alone.
But am I also the only one that, I feel like I am a man on an island every time we talk about Colorado? I believe most people think Colorado sucks. Nobody cares. Do you really think they're changing their entry threshold so that they lose more games, or that they're changing their like. And for those of you who don't know, Colorado recently changed the standards to allow more athletes to come to Colorado. It's the only reason Deion Sanders agreed to take the job. Do you really think they're doing that to win the same number of games that they have in the last decade? They're absolutely not.
Yeah.
They're going to win football games. Maybe not this year. I think their max is 3, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado is going to be a 7, 8, 9, 10 win team in the next 3 years. Their basketball program is going to get exponentially better.
Yeah.
The softball in that league in the Pac-12 is already really good. But the other thing I would say about breaking up the Pac-12 and everybody running to break up the Pac-12, one, I would slow your roll on that. But two, don't throw away the Apple Cup, Washington State. Don't throw away the Territorial Cup, Arizona State, the Civil War, Oregon State. One of the best rivalries in sports, Oregon State. That'd be like Michigan and Ohio State not playing anymore. And we already have seen that with BYU and Utah. And it's a tragedy. There are generations in the state of Utah who grew up on BYU and Utah.
Yep.
Generations grew up on that red and blue rivalry.
Facts.
Now there are generations who may well never see that game played again.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great tragedy.
Yeah.
It is, and I hope that's not what happens. I hope that's not, because, again, I look at Bedlam. Bedlam's dead. Bedlam's dead. How is Oklahoma and Oklahoma State going to play again? How's that going to happen? Like Oklahoma, Texas, great. That's cool. Oklahoma, Texas is not Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There's no spinning that.
Yeah.
There is no spinning that.
Yeah, and I think in expansion, there's a lot of times where the viewer, is the one that pays the price because, you do lose these big rivalries. And I do think that, again, this kind of takes me right back to the conversations we've been having around the SEC and 9 games instead of 8 games and, quality of game versus trying to win a national championship. Like, again, I just think this is what we do. We overthink it. Like, hey, let's play rivalry games every single year, and let's do everything we can do to get to the college football playoff. It's just that simple. But we don't want to do that. We're more concerned with expansion and moving conferences.
And it's frustrating to me because I think things like, and listen, Oklahoma, I think Bedlam is mandatory. It's Notre Dame and Michigan not playing anymore.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. How is Notre Dame and Michigan? We have to, in college athletics, protect the rivalries.
Yeah.
With all due respect, again, to the Red River shootout / showdown, whatever you want to call it. That game's good. Oklahoma State is mandatory. It's life, man. It's like not playing Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah.
How? It's not playing Georgia, Florida. How? How is that? Like, why do we not get Florida State every single year?
Mm-hmm.
How do we not, it's mandatory, but we don't care anymore.
But we'll get, Duke, UNC in basketball 50 times a season.
Yeah,
we'll get worn out on that.
Gary says false. BYU and Utah will happen in 2026 onwards. It's on U's future schedule page. Hey, that's great. But until that game is cemented and it's played every year,
yeah,
I think that game is in great jeopardy. With BYU being in the Big 12, and it's the excuse that all Utah fans used to make. Well, we just can't have that game. We can't play that game in November. We have bigger fish to fry. Well, guess what? Utah, BYU now has bigger than your fish to fry.
Kiss my butt!
Right? That should be, and I understand a lot of people like it in November far more than they like it in September. But the game has to be played. It has to be played. And it's a rivalry game. You should absolutely, in my opinion, if you want to be safe, you got to play that game in September. Because a loss in September is very different than a loss in November. Very, very different.
Yeah.
And I think we all recognize that. It's just not, it's not one of those things where, we can, I'm just not willing to do that. I think it's one of those games where, Utah's had the run of that rivalry for over a decade. Like,
Yeah.
I think they won 37 straight. No, it was 50 or 90. Something like
reset.
Hundreds of straight games in football.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's BYU and Utah.
Yeah.
It's what I say about Bedlam. It doesn't matter. It's Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if the two teams are bad.
Everybody wants it.
This is Pitt, West Virginia.
It's Pitt, West Virginia. I need it every single year.
Yeah.
How many years did Ohio State roll Michigan?
Yeah.
But we got it every single year.
Yes.
This would be like SC and Notre Dame not playing anymore. You can't do that. You can't eliminate that game.
Yeah.
Right? Like USC and UCLA, one of the worst fan bases as far as passion, and we got to have it every single year. We have to protect the rivalries. It doesn't matter to me that Utah ran BYU for a decade. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Did you forget about basketball? Because basketball, go to Utah for BYU and Utah basketball. Go for soccer. Go for baseball. Go for softball. UVU, getting into it now. Like I'm telling you, the locals, the brothers, right? Like the thing that makes it great is Max Hall's mom. Who cares if the beer story's true? It's true.
Yeah.
Who cares if it's true? Because it's true.
Agreed.
How many great stories are there in the Civil War and the Apple Cup? How many? There are tons of them. Oh, well, let me go ahead and get this. I understand it's Michigan, Ohio State, but I got to have the Wings on one side and the Buckeye on the other side. Like, right? Those people should be in prison. If you wear half Utah and half BYU or
Soft
half
person
Ohio
tendency.
State, it is soft person tendency. Half Ohio State, half Michigan, half Oklahoma, half Oklahoma State. I believe that you should be in prison in hard labor.
Yeah.
Like you just get that's
How dare you?
That's a crime against humanity for Auburn and Alabama.
You're a douche.
But we need those games.
Yeah.
We need those games,
Yeah.
man. Like it's got to happen. Let's see. Borlawn Angel, Big Ten releases their schedule for 24-25 at this present time. Tells me there will be no other invites at this time, aka no additions right now. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. One of the things I said today is I'm not going to get involved in Oregon and Washington, Stanford and Cal with the Big Ten. Because do you know how easy it is to change those schedules?
Yeah. It's incredibly easy.
It's not very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not very difficult. It isn't. Let's see. John Bolster. Forced rivalries rarely work. 12 going to try to force UCF, Houston, Cincy, West Virginia rivalry. Yeah, maybe.
What are you talking about, dude?
I don't know that I would say that that's a... I mean, you guys. Forced rivalries, like with all due respect, Cincinnati and West Virginia. Rivalry.
Cincinnati.
Come on now. BYU and Utah, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State.
Heat.
Like that's what I'm talking about. Like I just... Yeah, Travis, I agree. Until last year, West Virginia Pitt was lost, and it was a great game.
Yes.
It's a great game. Kurt Peters, as a Colorado alum, I never looked at Utah as a rivalry, not hating on Utah, but it was manufactured. I don't think it's manufactured. Colorado has done its fair share of damage, in my opinion. Raider Mark, I think the drive to make the college football playoff and being afraid to lose to a rival keeps the school from continuing rivalry games. Oh, I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any doubt about that.
That's why
dude.
Arizona State won't play GCU.
I think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right. And Raider Mark, where you are, pew pew. I think you know all about it. I think you're exactly right. Gary says I miss beating BYU because he's a Utah fan. Stopping Kalani on the going for it on fourth down. Like you missed that.
Right.
You missed that. Spangler says Farmageddon is perhaps the greatest rivalry name ever created. Okay. But what are other rivals? Like Cal Stanford, nobody cares.
Nobody cares, dude.
Iowa State.
I'm sure folks that live there care, but I don't care.
SLC Jake on Twitter. Please attack him. Do not attack me. Please.
I'm going to say this again.
Iowa State fans are awfully, like, their finger is on the button. They're like,
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
What did he say? Like their finger is on the SLC Jake on Twitter. That guy over there.
Y'all about to fuck this up.
That guy over there. Monty owes a ribeye says Jake is a Ute fan, at least in softball. Maybe not. Jimmy says Pitt, West Virginia splits Pittsburgh. OSU splits Portland. CU Utah just put together because they came to the league together. Could be.
This is corny stuff.
Could be. The Big Lubbock. OU and Nebraska went away. Yes, it did. Oh, my God. How do you not miss Barry Switzer?
Yeah, but Nebraska's back, right? I mean, Nebraska's going to be a great program.
Here we go.
Obviously not.
Oh, yeah. Matt Rule. Look, Matt Rule. We all know you love Matt Rule, Monty. Look, Monty. We get it. Matt Rule is hung like
a donkey.
A donkey. He's hung. Listen, that bro has a giraffe snout like you can't.
Can you measure it?
Giraffes don't have snout, but
yeah, it's a long neck.
Listen, well, that's what she said. I'm not going to describe it that way, but you know. Why do you hate Matt Rule so much? Because I said he's going to be good and Deion's going to win 3 games. You're like, garbage. Listen, Deion, you can't comb Matt Rule's chest hair.
Yeah, come on.
Deion Sanders, I can run my fingers through his. Look at that lettuce on his pecs.
Maybe your mom didn't go to heaven.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh my.
One time on this show, one time I said Matt Rule is going to turn that program around. Going, what do you mean Deion Sanders is great?
It became personal with me.
You love you some Prime, don't you? You love you some Prime, bro.
Uh-huh.
You love it. Stutters. Saying Nebraska is back is just the same as Sacramento's back. We can believe it when we see it.
Hey, what is it?
Beam team!
Yeah, beam team!
Omaha!
Yeah!
Omaha!
You and your mom are hillbillies.
Beam team!
Bro!
Matt Rule, light the beam, brother!
Oh,
Boom!
light the beam! Light the beam!
You fucking donkey!
Oh my God, that's amazing. Kyle J. My favorite rivalry is BYU versus Built Bar. Wow, bro.
No.
But do you guys at least get into the spirit of college rivalries? Don't we need to protect college rivalries? And I don't.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it. I think you have to have Alabama Auburn.
Yeah.
And I agree with. I'm not certainly trying to make the argument that Colorado Utah is one of the great rivalries. It's not. My point is, and I originally brought it up because Utah has found it very. Let's put it this way. Utah and BYU have found it very difficult to put their names on each other's schedules.
Cow turd.
I don't know. But Colorado is a game of consequence. On Utah's, okay. I
mean, I agree there's heat between the two, but it's not. Yeah. Colorado or Utah's won every year for how long? I mean,
yeah.
You know, and again, I guess the difference is that Utah BYU is just such a personal thing. People are just such a-holes about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see. I think it's really important to protect the rivalries. Barfing Chicken's my guy. My favorite is BYU QBs versus season-ending injuries in the Utah State game. Hey, bro, we won the wagon wheel. Now, I mean, Taysom's only got one ankle, but fuck, man, we won. Excuse me. My bad. Honor code violation. Self-reporting over here. Listen, we won the wagon wheel. Taysom's only got one ankle, but we won the wagon wheel.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Damn.
Truck Stop Gumby says cow turd.
That's right.
Jeremy Calzone says, in an ideal world, Okie State would forget all about Sooners as a rival. It was fairly once. Well, yeah, I mean, Oklahoma, come on. Oklahoma dominated that series. And accept their real true rival who has pissed in their picnic basket many times, Iowa State. Pissed in their picnic
So
basket.
we've graduated from pissing in bottles to now pissing in lunch baskets.
Here in the truck stop conference. We like to
Hey,
picnic.
we went to a Flying J today.
We did. Fucking ass. Do you ever just wake up some days and it's like, nah, dude, just go back to, don't get out of bed. Just go back to bed. Just go back to bed. Right? Just dealing with some stuff, going through like this week has been that week where the Zen factor has been the Zen meter has been off its axis.
Yes.
So we were talking through a business thing this morning. We were driving up to Ogden and
chilling in the Grand Cherokee.
And then ding, the gas light goes on. Now, of course, we have zero time to get gas because we're meeting our good friend Amber, the baketress, this morning.
It's really despicable.
And so we pull into the Flying J off of Redwood Road.
And it was great. Great location. Everything's cool.
Whew, thank goodness we're in the truck stop conference.
Yep.
Pull in, pull up to the hello. Pull in, pull up to the pump, put the card in, card reader's broken.
That's what fucking ticks me the fuck off!
And I tried it like 37 times.
It makes me a loving father and a decent human being.
No, I was not a decent human being. This only after I got off the phone with my insurance company and the lady's like, hey, can I have your phone number? What's your VIN number? I'm like, I don't know my VIN number. Well, I'm going to need your VIN number.
Suckmyass.com.
And she's like, what's your email? I tell her my email. Can you spell that? And I was like, come on! That's where I lost it when she's like, hey, can you spell your email?
Here's the problem. Here's
and I even said to her, I'm not in the greatest of moods.
I try to stay calm and not curse.
And I'm a little short on patience.
He did literally say that. The problem is that you're looking for windshield repair, right? And so when you're looking for windshield repair, you get sent out to SafeFlight through your insurance.
And I will never know.
So SafeFlight doesn't have all your insurance information, so you got to fill out a flyer. And my guy here was not in the mood.
And then the card reader at the truck stop didn't work. It's fine.
Vexes me.
Spangler, why exactly Utah State ignored in all this talk? Well, because we only talk about major college football on this show.
Dude.
What?
Why would you do that?
What? Aggie tears. What do you mean?
Dude.